the Jackie Robinson Rotunda at Citi Field, where a little Brooklyn Dodgers history meshes with New York Mets present. Yeah, the Dodgers are in town. Little giveaway tonight. Fans get their Seinfeld cap. A lot of excitement with that as the Mets and Dodgers continue their series. At Citi Field in New York, Pick Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Ron Darling joins us in just a moment as the Mets play the middle game of their three-game set against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets winning last night 6-3, and they've now won 2 straight games. However, Andre Ethier had 3 hits for L.A. last night and now has a 30-game hitting streak. The last player with a longer streak than that was Chase Utley 5 years ago, and the Mets stopped that streak at 35. They'll try and do the same against Ethier tonight. Meanwhile, the Mets won the game last night in large part to a 3-run homer by Jason Pridey, who continues to fill in admirably for the injured Angel Pagan.
Well, he's been fantastic. Think about it. His first start in the 7th hole last night, really trying to provide some insurance for Ike Davis. They walked Ike Davis, and he came up with his second 3-run home run in a Mets uniform. Remember, he was brought up for defense, now has 3 home runs, and has reached base safely in all 9 of his starts this season.
And the other 2 guys in the middle of that Mets batting order, Carlos Beltran and Ike Davis, continue to shine, especially in this ballpark.
Well, they've been fantastic. You think about it, both have 10-game hitting streaks, both have 9 RBIs, and between them, 8 home runs.
Throw in a red-hot Jose Reyes, and so the Mets offense is going in the right direction. And the guy who's been their best starting pitcher this year, when available, will be going to the mound tonight.
Yeah, coming off a kind of a shaky start, giving up 4 home runs, but you're right, Gary. He has been outstanding. His last start, you can see the numbers there. Chris has been great. He had a little problem there early in the season with injuries. Seems to be back, and he's going to be facing tonight John Garland, who's about as dependable a starter as you are going to get in baseball. A guy that always makes 32, 33 starts, always wins in double digits, and he's been pretty good after coming back from an injury for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Garland pitched in San Diego last year after a bit of a flirtation with the Mets, now in L.A. for the second time. It's the Mets and Dodgers at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight right here on Pix 11. Loose in the bullpen, and so at the last moment, Dylan G is going to take the start for the Mets tonight.
Well, it'll be his 3rd start for the Mets after appearing in the bullpen a couple of times. And this is always a tough thing, especially for a young aspiring pitcher, but sometimes it can work to his advantage. No time to get nervous.
So Terry Collins having to go to plan B tonight with Young unable to get himself loose in the bullpen. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Lexus. Escape convention of the radically new Lexus CT Hybrid. By Capital One Bank, what's in your wallet? By the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 MPG at ChevyOffers.com. By McDonald's. Stop by McDonald's today for some juicy, tender chicken McNuggets. By Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at MBUSA.com. And by Wells Fargo, together we'll go far. Run the bases at Citi Field tomorrow following the afternoon game against the Dodgers with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under, presented by Stony Field Farm. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Who's Hot brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Let's start at the bottom. Justin Verlander this afternoon had a perfect game for 7 1/3. Issued his only walk on a double play. Got the side out in order in the ninth and pitched his second career no-hitter against Toronto. Just the 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Second in a week after Francisco Liriano did it for the Twins, and Lance Berkman having a tremendous comeback season for the Cardinals. But they got shut out today by Giovanni Gallardo on 1 hit. So Dylan G getting the emergency start, trying to get himself loose and ready to face the Dodgers tonight in the second of 3 games here in New York. MLB.tv today to see every Mets game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Here's the Dodgers starting lineup, brought to you by your local Lexus dealers. The 2 guys in the middle of the order, Ethier and Kemp, have been fantastic. And everything else, Don Mattingly's just trying to whirl it all around in a circle and figure out who goes where. He had Miles hitting 8th yesterday. He had Loney hitting in the middle of the lineup. They're at the top today with on-base percentages well below 300. But Mattingly just trying to get his offense going and get something going other than Ethier and Kemp.
And Barajas with his 6th home run in yesterday's ball game. Not in the lineup. Navarro is.
Well, Dylan G making his way in for an unexpected 3rd start of the season. His last start came against Arizona 2 weeks ago. A victory for him.
It's been quite a ride for Dylan G. As he made his first start, he got a win. He thought he was going to be sent down. They kept him in the bullpen. He's made another spot start after that. His last start was on April 23rd, where he got the win against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And now this late call because of the inability of Chris Young to get loose tonight.
And, of course, this is an ongoing piece, too. And this has been the story of Chris Young's career. When available to pitch, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. but his availability is always subject to question. He's already spent a stint on the disabled list this year and now unable to go tonight.
You know, I know the first time that Chris went on the disabled list, it's almost like he had to talk himself onto it because he did not want to put the team in this kind of situation where he could not get loose and he'd have to spend one of your relievers. But you're not doing it tonight because you have a capable starter in Dylan G.
And the funny thing, just talking the other day with Terry Collins about G and how they're kind of in between with him, where with Pedro Beato out, they could kind of use him in the bullpen, but they also know they don't have a lot of starting protection down at AAA with Mejia's injury, so they need to keep him ready to start. Well, now the situation provides itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we're going to see a fine effort. He's just a very capable pitcher. 4 pitches, uses them all. And like I said, no time to be nervous today.
Keys to the game brought to you by Cadillac. Visit Cadillac.com to find a dealer near you.
Well, the first Met to have 3 extra base hits in a game, Reyes last night. G has to come through in a spot start. It's a nice opportunity, though, against this Dodger lineup that's been struggling, except for Ethier and Kemp. Ethier, of course, that 30-game hitting streak.
And look who's throwing out the first pitch tonight. Well, it is Seinfeld cap night, and Keith, of course, was a big part of Seinfeld. Probably gets asked more questions about that than he does about his borderline Hall of Fame baseball career.
What's he got? Crocs on? Come on now.
It's better than barefoot.
That's right.
Was that a slider or a cutter?
He looked like he cut it. He's been watching Jonathan Neese. We're taking a little action from Kevin's reports. A little cutter in there to Tolley.
Very nice. What do you figure? Back in Sag Harbor by 8:25?
Oh, absolutely.
There's Andre Ethier, who has been so calm during this 30-game hitting streak. He had his session with reporters coming to the big town last night and handled it with aplomb.
Listen, he plays in La La Land. He's well prepared for this. The thing about it, last night, his first hit, the extended 30 games, was on a 3-0 count. That's his second time in this streak that he's had a hit on a 3-0 count.
Well, tonight he'll be trying to tie the Dodger club record of 31 straight games set by Willie Davis, who set that mark against the Mets.
We'll let you guys know about the work of Dylan G. We talked about his start. Last start was on the 23rd of April, but he pitched just 3 days ago in a scoreless inning against the San Francisco Giants. Now look at the defenses brought to you by the Bank of America. You can see that outfield, Babe, Pridey, and Beltran. Same infield around, totally doing the catching. Beltran now has just the only assist of that outfield crew, and he's playing in his 131st game, well, maybe game, errorless streak working so far.
Well, sometimes, Ronnie, when a pitcher doesn't have time to think about his start, sometimes those are the best. Remember when he came up to the minor leagues, he had slept the night before and went out there and gave a very credible effort.
The only problem, though, is that we don't know when Chris Young had the bail and said he couldn't get loose. And we've always seen with Dylan G, they've tried to give him as much time as they can to get loose because he has those, you know, his way of preparing.
And he also has that partially torn labrum, which he has to work around, and that's affected the way he's warmed up for bullpen stints. But here getting the call for a start. So G ready to go, and Aaron Miles will lead off for the Dodgers. Well, they gave him about 3 extra minutes beyond the 7:10 start time, and G starts off with a strike.
It's like an Orlando Hernandez start. That's no problem. Always 3 minutes, 4 minutes late.
He walked in from the bullpen a lot faster, though. And Miles punches one out to left field, and Jason Bay patrols, and that's the first out of the night. So 1 out and nobody on. Good umpiring crew in for this series. Brian O'Nora working the plate. Alfonso Marquez, Ed Hickox, and the crew chief Ed Rapuano round out the quartet.
Marquez did the greatest job last night avoiding a bullet throw from Jose Reyes in last night's game, and Ed Rapuano with a strong effort last night behind the plate.
Well, here's James Loney, who's just an absolute mystery. Today celebrating his 27th birthday. At one point looked like a budding star, but this year, 217 and in 120 at bats, has 2 extra base hits. And interesting that battling has now put him in the number 2 spot in the batting order, maybe asking a little less of him.
Or trying to get him some fastballs early in the count, especially when you have the hottest hitter in baseball hitting behind you.
For Dylan G, his first ever appearance against the Dodgers, so there's not a single hitter in this lineup who's faced G before. And with the Dodgers now having moved their spring training base to Arizona, they have not seen him in March either. And it's looped toward right center and over Murphy's head for a base hit. So Loney, who had a base hit off the second base bag last night, has himself a soft single, and the Dodgers have the first base run.
Well, a little fastball away. Let me take that back. That's a little changeup from Dylan G. Well placed on the outside corner. Just kind of a lucky hit off the end of the bat.
So Andre Ethier will begin his quest for his 31st consecutive game with a hit. Last night he wasted no time. Got to hit his first time up on a 3-0 pitch and added 2 more hits for a good measure. He's hitting .397 during this 30-game hitting streak. And .379 overall, 3rd in the National League. And first pitch swinging at a changeup, 0-1. Willie Davis set the record in '69, had the 30th and 31st game against the Mets in early September of '69. Interesting that after Davis got a game-winning hit for that 31st straight game, Mets went 23-6 the rest of the way. And Ethier swinging and missing. So Dylan G changing up twice in a row, and it's 0-2.
Well, good change up here. That is his pitch, the equalizer against left-handed hitting. He's also got to pitch in enough with his fastball to set that up.
Matt Kemp just about as hot as Ethier, waiting on deck. 1 out and 1 on, just getting started. And the fastball away for 1-2.
You know, our director tonight, Danny Barr, when he was showing the shot of Ethier before the game, I was saying, boy, it's the longest I've ever seen his hair. But if you're in a hit streak, you can't cut your hair. Superstitious.
But he says he hasn't had any superstitions. Really? He says he's changing his socks every day. He's eating something different every day. Most baseball players wouldn't change anything. Now the changeup from G, that's 3 out of 4 pitches in this at bat, and it's 2-2 to Ethier.
Interesting about big league hitters, right? The first 2 he swung at, the third one now, just let it go. Look for something up from G.
Now the 2-2, and he misses upstairs with another changeup. It's interesting to note that the last 3 hitters who have hit in 30 straight games have all had their streak end right there. Willie Taveras in '06, Moises Alou for the Mets in '07, Ryan Zimmerman 2 years ago, all stopped right at 30. 3-2, Loney at first with 1 out. He's running, and Ethier punches 1 foul. The last streak longer than 30 games belonged to Chase Utley. That was in 2006, and the Mets stopped that one. Jimmy Rollins had a quasi 38 game streak. I said that because it was 36 in 1 year and the first 2 in the next year, which, you know, some believe to be a hitting streak and some believe not to be. I think there's a big difference of opinion whether those things should carry over.
I'm in the latter camp, by the way.
That they should not.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. And there's ball 4, so Ethier aboard with a walk, and the Dodgers have 2 men on. So G, who walks very few, he issues a first inning walk after getting ahead on Ethier, and now he'll have to face Matt Kemp with 2 men on. Kemp last night 1 for 4, drove in a run, hitting at .349 for the year, 7th in the National League, with a .423 on base percentage. That's 5th best in the league. A bounce back year for Kemp, who had an underwhelming 2010.
Remember, his hit was kind of just a lazy fly ball down the right field line that Beltran could not get to.
And inside it hits Kemp, and the bases are loaded. So Dylan G coming inside on Kemp, drills him with a fastball, and now the bases are loaded with 1 out.
You know, we've seen this from G before. When he sometimes gets underneath that fastball, that ball tends to run in, and boy, it hit Kemp and then got Josh Tolley in the side of the mask.
So a big early problem for G after retiring Miles to start the inning. Now Loney is at third, Ethier at second, and Kemp at first with 1 out. And the former Baltimore Oriole Jay Gibbons will bat. It's been a long and winding road for Gibbons the last few years. Guy was once a star in Baltimore. Had all sorts of injury problems. Wound up playing for the Long Island Ducks, for the Newark Bears, and finally landing back with the Dodgers. But he spent the first month of the year on the disabled list again with vision problems. So he's had just 5 at bats this year. And an early chance for Gibbons. Bases loaded, 1 out. And a breaking ball in for a strike.
About the closest we've seen a left-hander to the plate. And Jay Gibbons had a 26 and a 28 home run season in Baltimore, and also 100 RBIs in 2003.
Now 34 years old. You see how close that back foot is. And a little floater out to third base. Infield fly rule is called. The batter's out, and Wright grabs it 2 away. So there's a big out for Dylan G. So Gibbons unable to get the run home, and now with 2 out, Juan Uribe will come to the plate. Uribe had a rough night at the plate last night, going 0 for 5, drove in a run with a ground out. Got hit on the hand a few days ago, opted to play last night and play through it, but did not look at his best and was at his free swinging worst, as a matter of fact. We'll see how G, who's normally a strike thrower, tests that with Uribe. Base is loaded, 2 out. And a check swing, and apparently he held on the breaking ball, 1-0.
It's one of those where a more veteran catcher than Tolley immediately would call to try to get that checked by the first base umpire.
Dioner Navarro catching tonight for the Dodgers. Would be next. And Uribe takes the fastball low and in, 2-0.
Well, his entire career, and he's won 2 world championships, 05 with the White Sox, last year for the Giants. Uribe is one of those guys that if he gets in a 2-0, 3-1 count, that's when he's going to let it fly.
Does not wait around a whole lot. And he bounces one toward third, a foul ball, 2-1. Uribe won a World Series with the White Sox in 05, another with the Giants last year. But the Giants changed their plan on the infield with Uribe and Edgar Renteria allowed to walk. And a high fly ball, easy play for Jason Bay. And so Dylan G, an emergency starter, loads him up and keeps him there. Dodgers strand 3. Mets come to bat with no score. Jam in the top of the first inning, and maybe going down looking at some video of Dodger hitters after getting a little counsel from Chris Capuano and John Neese on the bench.
Well, this is you know, the fraternity of starting pitchers. What will happen is that they'll all rally around G here because they know how difficult it is to not know your pitching and given the ball 15 minutes before the game. They're all trying to feed him information and also having a kind of a laugh about it. Boy, I didn't think this was going to happen.
Starting lineup brought to you by your local Lexus dealers. Mets go with the same unit they trotted out last night. Why not? They had a big night. 6 runs and 9 hits. Jose Reyes 2 triples and a double last night. His 6th career multiple triple game. John Garland, veteran right-hander, sinker baller, goes for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that just is a steady Eddie. Just always out there. 325 games started in his career, over 2,000 innings. Long ball has always been the only problem with John. 252 given up in his career.
Well, here's Reyes. Last 2 games has 3 triples and a double. In fact, Reyes now has 17 extra base hits, tied for 3rd in the National League.
On this homestand, he's gotten on base 6 times in one game, 4 times yesterday.
Well, and by the way, he's 5 for 6 in his career against Garland. Mets has seen a lot of Garland over the last few years, but he's always wearing different laundry. He pitched against the Mets as an Angel in 08, as a Diamondback in 09, as a Padre in 2010, and now as a Dodger. There's a strike, 2-1.
Kind of will just sink the fastball away, throws a lot of changeups, try to surprise you inside with the fastball occasionally, but doesn't live in there against the left-handed hitter.
6'6" out of the San Fernando Valley, and there's the sinker, and it's 2-2. Same neck of the woods where Brett Saberhagen grew up.
John Elway from that vicinity also. He's a cool customer. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to make you get yourself out. You try to pull John Garland, it's going to be a lot of ground balls.
Reyes trying to take him the other way.
The defense brought to you by Bank of America. Gibbons to start in left, Kempenethia. Uribe Carroll was great at shortstop last night. Miles and Loney and Deanna Navarro getting the start tonight. Did his best work a couple seasons ago in Tampa Bay.
Now the 2-2, and Reyes hits it out to center field, and Matt Kemp doesn't have to move much, and that's the first out. Right now, if you're a pitcher, you got to consider that a big victory, just getting Reyes out.
That's right.
So here's Murphy, who's struggling right now. 0 for his last 7, 3 for his last 28. Funny thing is, while he has been struggling with his best tool, his bat, his glove has gotten better and better by the day. Made that play going to his right yesterday, and the jump toss to first.
Terry Collins addressed Daniel Murphy at the plate. It was interesting, his comments. He said, you know, Daniel's one of those David Wright's on deck. David Murphy's one of those incredibly hard workers before the game. And he thought that he might have to in the next couple of days maybe address it with him and say, you know, back off a little bit. Don't be fatigued when you go into the game.
Little check swing, tapper over short. He's got himself a base hit. Well, sometimes you get out of slumps in strange ways. A little half hack by Murphy, and he's got himself a base hit. He sees reaction.
Well, when Nadal is trying a little drop shot against Federer, this is how he fashions it, right like that. He sticks that bat out, peels it off the end of the bat, and just over the head of Jamie Carroll.
Shades of John McEnroe across the street.
There you go.
Years past. So 1 out and 1 on, and now David Wright. And it's interesting you said that about Terry's reaction to Murph, because that was the same problem David Wright had in the minor leagues. They had to tell him to do less work. They found he was tiring himself out before games.
It's interesting, that sun coming from right center, it's almost like illuminating David Wright.
If that would affect you as a hitter, you have that light in your eyes. I mean, the ball's not coming out of the sunshine, but you've got, I think it's actually the reflection of the sun off the glass of the building out there, you see, and that comes right into the hitter's eye.
It's almost the same lighting you'd have if David was doing one of the many commercials he does. He's just getting lit up, right?
But they don't need those big white things to reflect the light properly and cut down the shadows. Natural lighting. It's what directors live for.
That's right.
That's why they always want to shoot it, you know, in the late afternoon. Perfect light. Carlos Beltran has been red hot, waiting on deck. Murphy staying fast to first. And Wright takes low and away, and Garland behind 3-1. Garland, the guy not going to walk too many. 7 walks in 26 innings so far this year. Comes off a 6-inning, 3-hit performance against San Diego his last start, but lost that game 7-0. And you see the home plate umpire Brian Onora affected by that reflected sun.
We can't get on an umpire for not bringing up off sunglasses, can we?
For a night game. And there's ball 4, and so the Mets have 2 men on. Just as G pitched himself into trouble in the first inning, Garland doing the same here by walking right and bringing up the red-hot Beltran. Rick Honeycutt, the Dodger pitching coach, charting. Well, Carlos had another good night last night. Sacrifice fly, 410-foot bomb that was caught, a double down the line, and then an intentional walk, a 1-for-2 evening. And Carlos has entered the top 10 in the National League in slugging now. He and Ike Davis are both in that top 10. And the curveball low for ball 1. In fact, the Mets offense has been so good lately. The Mets are now 5th in the league in on-base percentage and 4th in slugging as a team.
You see the defense. If you made that catch you were talking about last night, you're extremely deep in right field.
And we've talked about a lot on this homestand, haven't we? The difference in how different teams are going to compensate for that vast outfield, particularly in right. And the breaking ball in for a strike from Garland, 1-1.
There's a little changeup, I think, there from Garland up in the strike zone. Onora, he's got a pretty healthy strike zone also.
Jason Bay on deck. We saw the Giants come in here and play very shallow with their outfielders in Citi Field.
I would say Philadelphia and San Francisco play the shallowest of any team in baseball here at Citi Field.
The Dodgers just the opposite. Mattingly's got them playing not quite back on the warning track, but to the back of the pasture.
He can play a little defense.
And now it's 3-1 to Beltran. So Garland not getting any feel for his secondary pitches at all. And behind on the count after walking right. So he's in a dangerous spot.
Big deep left there by Garland because he knows he's in harm's way. 3-1 count. Certainly cannot walk Beltran here. He should see a fastball.
Beltran has a couple of home runs in his career against Garland. And he hits this one out to center field. Easy for Kemp. Murphy tagging up at second, but he'll stay right there. And that's the second out. So that's a big out for Garland, falling behind Beltran, 3-1.
And I was wrong. That's how Garland makes a living right there. 3-1, can't get his changeup over. Takes just a little off his fastball. Carlos out front.
So it's left to Jason Bay with 2 out and 2 on. Bay was 2 for 4 in the game last night, drove in a run. Let's see. Mets played 20 games without Jason Bay. They're 5-15. They've played 12 games with Jason Bay, 9-3.
Even better at home. 6-0 at home.
Ike Davis sitting 6th in the order, waiting on deck. Strike to Bay, 1-1.
It'd be different if he had done most of the damage, but the damage has been done by Reyes, Beltran, and Davis. But he's been getting some big hits last night, a 2-out RBI.
Well, when he first came back, he hit the ground running and was hitting for the first half dozen games. But I think it's also the fact that having Bay in the lineup pushes Davis down to 6th and just gives a pitcher that much more to have to work against. Murphy at second and right at first with 2 down. Garland, as G did before him, trying to work out of a first inning jam. And he spots the outside corner, 2-2.
Boy, that's a good slider. 2-1. You can't get any better. Just a tiny little break on it, about 6-8 inches at the most. Just catches the front of that plate, maybe with a seam.
And it's on the outside corner, a fastball, strike 3 call. So Brian Onora, big strike zone, and Bay down looking, and the Mets strand 2. So Dylan G, after his emergency start, will go back to the mound for the second. as the sun begins to set in New York. The problem for the hitters right now. Is brought to you by HBO Go. Introducing HBO Go, the new streaming service from HBO. Yonder Navarro, the switch hitting catcher, will lead off for the Dodgers in the second inning. Navarro just recently reinstated from the disabled list with, guess what, an oblique injury, which means that the Dodgers tonight have a starting battery of Garland and Navarro, both of whom started the year on the disabled list with an oblique. And can you believe that? Dylan G has hit his second batter of the game.
And he got it right in the oblique.
And that might cause some point tenderness.
Current pain. Just trying to come in. He's got that fastball more in the hip there. He's got that fastball that he starts at the hip of the left-hander and bends it back. But sometimes it stays true. And G is, of course, upset. He's not trying to hit anybody.
So, leadoff base runner for the Dodgers in the second. If you're just joining us, Chris Young was supposed to start. Warmed up in the outfield, started to warm up in the bullpen, couldn't get loose, and G had to be called upon at the last moment to make the start tonight. Here's Jamie Carroll, who hit leadoff last night, batting 8th tonight, and he takes the fastball below the knees for ball 1. Carroll 1 for 4 last night, hitting at .279. Filling in at shortstop with Rafael Furcal out with a broken thumb. Pitcher Garland on deck. Dodgers at 15 and 18 on the year. They've lost 3 in a row and 5 of 6 as their offense has sputtered and their bullpen has struggled. Here's strike 1 and 1. I mean, look up and down this Dodger batting order, and other than Ethier and Kemp, this is not a strong lineup.
Well, Loney is supposed to be a strong hitter. He hasn't been so far. Boy, that was a long look there by Jamie Carroll to third base coach Tim Wallach. Good hit and run man, Jamie Carroll. Not a lot of speed on the bases, though.
Carroll lines one down the left field line, and that'll find the grass for a base hit. Navarro will go to third as Bay digs it off the sidewall, has trouble with it, but Carroll will go no farther as he stops with a double. So the Dodgers have second and third and nobody out. Carroll just serving that ball down the left field line for his 6th double of the year.
Well, he got it right off the end of the bat. Sometimes that doesn't put all the spin on it that would make it go foul, and it stayed true. And you see that just like an ex-hockey player, Bay trying to keep that ball in at the blue line.
Got to be able to differentiate the ball from the wrapper.
That's right. That's right.
So second and third and nobody out. The Dodgers with a quick threat here in the second, and the Mets bring the infield in with the pitcher Garland up. 0 for 5 this season, a 140 lifetime hitter with 1 home run. Garland spent the majority of his career in the American League with the White Sox. Won a World Series with them in '05 and has been something of a nomad over the last few years. In fact, this is his second tour with the Dodgers. He made 6 starts with them at the end of the '09 season after coming over from Arizona. And he was on the free agent market after the '09 season, and he was one of the pitchers the Mets considered signing before he went to San Diego.
Well, he's one of those guys that's just dependable. You know what you're going to get. Although he started on the DL this year, you usually get 30+ starts, close to 200 innings, double figures and wins.
And G, who could use a strikeout, gets ahead 0-2. Dylan G from Claiborne, Texas, just south of Fort Worth. Grew up a big Nolan Ryan fan.
Who didn't?
He could use a little Nolan Ryan right here. Pitch himself out of this jam. Slap down to first. Runners hold. 1 out. Navarro not running on contact there, not with nobody out.
Well, Navarro, you're going to come off, and if you see someone have to dive for the baseball, maybe you take a chance, but nobody out. Stay there, give the leadoff hitter a chance to drive you in.
So Aaron Miles, the batter. Miles flied to left his first time, looking for his first hit in this series. Navarro at third and Carroll at second with 1 out. Mets have the infield back now, with the exception of Wright at third. And Tolley knocks that down. Not sure if that hit his glove or hit his foot.
I think it hit the umpire. It went through him. I think this is the problem with Josh. This is a fastball, but you got to be ready to block it. It goes through Josh underneath his glove. It did. It hit his right ankle. On that play right there, you've got to drop to your knees and block. And I've always said it, the fastball is the toughest one to react to, but that's something Josh is going to have to do better.
Well, Josh returned to the lineup last night, had a clean game behind the plate.
Again, low pitch here by G, throwing that sinker ball. You can see that Josh is backhanding this pitch. That is not how you're supposed to do it. See, when it hits that plate, it's going to skip. You have to turn the glove over and form like a big wall to block that ball in the dirt. It's assuming that the pitcher's always going to throw it where you want it. Doesn't always happen.
Now G behind on Miles, 2-0. And he hits one in the air to shallow left. Bay coming in. Navarro not a fast man at third. Let's see if they send him. He's going to try it and then go back and going halfway. Well, Navarro took 5 hard steps toward home and then slammed on the brakes and went back as Bay threw it into Tolley on the fly.
Boy, this is good all the way around. The pop-up or the pop-up to Jason Bay, gets behind it. He comes, although he catches on his left shoulder, and great throw home over the cutoff man, of course. But Tim Wallach, the third base coach, did a great job. He came all the way down. Navarro came off the bag and ran as hard as he could until he picked up Wallach, and Wallach put the hold on. Good throw.
So Dylan G, who worked himself out of a big-time jam in the first inning, trying to work it out of an even bigger one here in the second. He had second and third and nobody out, now 2 away. And James Loney, the batter. Loney floated a base hit to right center his first time. And this is the guy G has got to go after with the scorching hot Andre Ethier waiting on deck. It's off the plate to Loney, and again G is behind 2-0. He is not a pitcher accustomed to working behind in the count, but he's been doing it a lot early in this game.
Well, David Wright coming in, the veteran that he is, having a word with Dylan G. Hopefully he's saying, hey, this is the batter you want to get. The guy behind him, 30 straight. Go after this guy. A lot of times the infield say, hey, throw him a strike. We'll make a play for you.
And ball 3. 2-0 changeup.
Very
Ethier on deck.
Yeah, not a good choice of pitches there. That one should have been waved off by Tolley.
Well, Ethier got a hit last night on 3-0. Let's see if Loney's swinging here. And he takes a strike.
Dylan forgets how good his fastball is, especially when he sinks it. That one true for a strike.
Now on 3-1, Loney takes low inside, ball 4, and Ethier will come up with the bases loaded. So the control continues to be elusive for G. 2 walks, 2 hit batsmen, bases loaded, 2 out. Ethier coming up and Dan Warthen coming out.
It's the first time, Gary, that we've seen in any of his games a hesitancy to throw the ball over the plate. G has always been a strike thrower, a guy who's aggressive, wants to get you to swing the bat early in the count. But you know, this is probably a byproduct of being surprised with the start.
Well, we saw a little in his first relief outing in Philadelphia when he got himself in trouble. He kind of chalked that one up to the unfamiliarity of the situation, but what can be more unfamiliar than this?
Well, what you could say to a pitcher here with the bases loaded for the second consecutive inning. This guy's hitting 30 straight. He's duty making out. I don't know.
So Dan Warthen has said his piece, and now G will have to go after Ethier, whom he got ahead of 0-2 the first time and then nibbled around and walked him. Navarro at 30 was hit by a pitch. Carroll at second, he doubled, and Loney at first after the walk. So now Ethier's second plate appearance with the bases loaded and 2 out. And he hits the first pitch in the air to left. In comes Bay to call. Side retired. 2 innings on the mound, and Dylan G has worked out a bases loaded trouble in each. No score at Citi Field. Was brought to you by Bank of America. Well, Ronnie and I were a little distracted between innings. Seinfeld cap night here, and they've been showing Seinfeld scenes. They just showed the one of Costanza running over Ben Midler at home plate.
And before that, he double dipped, Gary.
It's a double dipper. Ike Davis will come up in the bottom of the second inning against John Garland in a scoreless game. There have been 8 base runners in the first inning and a half of this game, and nobody scored. Ike hit a home run last night, driving one off the Pepsi porch in right field for his 7th of the year. And like Beltran, he has hit in 10 straight games at Citi Field, which has all of a sudden become a very productive offensive venue for the Mets, particularly with the long ball. Overhand curve by Garland misses 1-1.
Well, both Ike and Beltran in those 10-game streaks, plenty of extra base hits, a couple of doubles for Ike, 5 home runs, and they both have 9 RBIs.
Well, by the way, Jason Pridey hit the ball a long way too. He's on deck. You see what Ike has done lately. 6 home runs in his last 17 games. Mets have played a 5th of the season. He has 7 home runs. Do the math. Still working on it. It's 35. 2-2, not Ike.
I used to always do that too when I had 5 wins by May 15th. I do the math too. It always came out to 15. It never came out to 20. I don't know why.
Well, Ike hit 19 as a rookie last year, and there's no reason to think that his power numbers are not going to increase greatly. Just off the plate, fastball from Garland, and it's 3-2. That's a unique look.
He's got a headache from wearing that.
I think he's tired of it. And ball 4, and so Davis is on. 3-2 changeup from Garland, who walks his second batter. And the Mets get the leadoff man on in the second. And now one of the heroes of last night's Mets win, Jason Pridey. You'll remember the Dodgers walked Ike Davis in the 6th inning to get to Pridey, and Pridey hit one deep into the bullpen in right center for a 3-run bomb that put the Mets in front to stay.
One of the great parts of this job is after the game, Kevin Burkhardt was talking to Pridey, and just to watch him and the glee and happiness that came over him. A guy that's had a couple cups of coffee in Minnesota, spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, and fulfilled what every ball player wants. You know, the thing about it is that all of these ball players are all good. Just some don't get a chance. He did last night.
Josh Tolley on deck, and he's been getting an extended opportunity with the injury to Angel Pagan. Now that it appears that Angel's going to be out a while longer, that chance continues. Sometimes that's all you need in this game, is an extended opportunity to show what you can do. And then, you know, even if your role lessens when somebody else returns, everybody else in baseball has seen you too.
Angel Pagan did that last season when he got his chance, right?
Garland ahead on Pridey 0-2. Funny, Terry Collins was talking about Pridey last night. He said that he saw Pridey play as much as anybody in the system last year when Terry was the Mets minor league field coordinator. And he said, I always knew he could play center. I knew he could run. But one thing that nobody ever knew about him was that he could hit with power. But he's already hit 3 home runs in Buffalo and now 3 with the Mets. And a couple of them have been really well struck. Taken below the knees, 2-2.
Well, I can't say for certain, but I would think that Terry Collins would be kind of an underdog guy. Definitely on the side of a guy that's toiled in the minor leagues.
But at the end of the day, it's all about producing. And so far, Pridey has produced with the bat and been solid with the glove, which is all the Mets have asked. Hit hard over the glove of Loney and down the line. Ike didn't know where it was. He hesitated, but he'll go around second and head for third. Pridey slides in safely with a double, and the Mets have second and third and nobody out. So another extra base hit for Jason Pridey.
You know what he has shown since he's been here, hit a slider for that 3-run home run last night, that he is a very good breaking ball hitter. A little breaking ball on the outside part, stays back just enough and gets this over the glove of Loney. Loney about 6'4", 6'5". And look at Ike. He didn't know if he had caught the ball or not. Ike was about to go back, lost the baseball, finally found it, was able to get to third base.
Well, the Dodgers had second and third and nobody out at the top of the inning. They failed to score. Now the Mets have second and third and nobody out. Here's Josh Tolley. Tolley 1 for 4 last night with a double.
See how his back was turned to Loney right there. On that play, of course, you have to freeze on the line drive. Lucky enough, it was just over the top of the glove of Loney.
But if he caught it, he was going to be out anyway.
Yeah, there's no place to go.
Tolley hits one out to left. That'll get a run home. Back goes Gibbons to make the grab, tagging, and coming on in is Ike Davis. Heading for third is Pridey, and he's safe. Jason Friday taking the extra base on the sacrifice fly by Josh Tolley, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Play a little defense, occasionally hit a 3-run home run, and do all the little things. Nice hitting by Josh Tolley to get that sacrifice fly to left field. Real easy for Ike Davis to come in. Josh Tolley last night looking to hit the ball to pull, now going the other way. And you see Gibbons right here. Assume that Friday was not going to tag up. Great aggressive play on his heels, and not able to make that play at third base.
You know, it's aggressive by Friday, it's observant by Friday, but it's also knowing your outfielders. Jay Gibbons has always had a reputation as a defensively challenged outfield. Caught that ball on his heels, and Friday took full advantage. So the Mets have a run in and a chance for another. Dylan G coming up in a spot that cries out for a squeeze play. Dylan 1 for 3 with 1 sacrifice so far this year. Friday a fast man at third with 1 out. And G takes off the outside corner 1-0. Yet to see the suicide squeeze from Terry Collins, but we've seen so many other aggressive plays. You know you're going to see it one of these days.
And we've seen some safety squeezes against the Mets so far this year. There's the defense. Of course, they're going to be in with the pitcher up.
Hit hard, but right at the shortstop Carroll, and that freezes Friday for the second out. G hit the ball solidly. Take a look at the Adorama freeze frame. Show us your favorite Mets photo at pix11.com for a chance to win a 50-inch HD TV from Adorama, more than a camera store.
You know, this play was closer than you thought, but see, Ed Rapuano is on the other side of Friday, so might not see that tag applied by Uribe. Got the benefit of the doubt, but good hustle.
So Friday still at third with 2 out. Now Reyes will try and get him in. Jose flied to center his first time, and he rips one into center field for a base hit. That chases Friday in with the second New York run. Jose Reyes with his 11th run batted in. It's 2-0 New York. And Reyes just continues to shine.
Well, he was 2 for 25. He had that at bat against San Francisco left-hander and broke his bat and drove in a run. And since then, he has been so much more patient. First pitch curveball, almost like he was sitting on it. And it seems every time he comes up, it's a bullet somewhere.
So 2 runs are in. Reyes at first. He has 12 steals, tied for second in the league, and Garland will check in on him. Reyes is back to that infectious level of play and quality of play that we saw for so many years before the injuries struck the last couple of seasons. Nobody has more fun on a baseball field, and when he's playing well, nobody has more fun watching a player than Met fans do watching Reyes.
Have you noticed that when he gets a base hit, he's been invoking that claw that was made famous last year by the Texas Rangers, as they were just having a blast winning their ball games?
He does not lack for histrionics. He didn't really need to borrow anybody else's.
Ronnie, I asked Jose about that today. It is the
and he's picked off first base. So Jose Reyes had to fall on a sleeve, and that ends the inning. Sorry, Kevin. We'll check back in with you next inning. First run of the game brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 mpg at ChevyOffers.com. Mets score a pair and lead 2-0.
No problem here. Well, this, I think, is a lesson for anybody, to tell you the truth. Navarro with the play. Sees Reyes snapping, a little snap throw, doesn't even reveal it. And watch Loney. He asked for the baseball. Watch him put his glove out. Give it to me. Why not? There we go. Gary, you used to do that in the playground in Queens, I bet, one time.
That's why you never let down in this game, because something bad will always happen. Matt Kemp pops one up in foul ground. Ike Davis has trouble finding it and somehow stays with it for the out. He did not see that ball at first, but picked it up at the last moment and makes the play on Kemp for the first out.
You're right, Gary. He just completely lost it in the gloaming out there.
Well, before the game tonight, our buddy Jim Watkins was out there with his son Liam, throwing out the first pitch. It was Autism Awareness Night, an annual event here at Citi Field.
It was my son Liam. It was actually his twin brothers, Luke and Jamie, who came out. Luke threw the first pitch, and I at some point would love it if the broadcast team could run a split screen of Luke's first pitch versus Keith's first pitch tonight. Just see how the 9-year-old did against Keith. I think Luke would come across.
We were not surprised that Keith wasn't ready at 7:09. That's happened before.
How you been, Jim?
I'm doing well. It's great to see you guys again. Oh, there he is. Okay, so there's Liam and me. He hands it off to Luke. Here comes the throw. Boom.
Nice.
Standing.
Right, look at Liam clap. That's great. I hadn't even noticed that before. No, I'm back here for our Autism Day, our little annual get-together that we have here, and it's always even more appropriate when I can do it when it's a Picks game. That's airing on Channel 11, so it's terrific. And once again, you guys know the drill by this time. The Mets welcome the people from the autism communities across the tri-state to come and enjoy themselves at a Major League Baseball game, something that is very difficult for families to get together because it's tough. You know, it's tough. Some of their behaviors are challenging. Sometimes they have a difficult time with noise in a busy environment, and the Mets allow them to come here and feel welcome for at least one night a year, and we're always so grateful for that. And this year, you guys, we had a really great experience. When I was on last year with you, we got word, the team got word actually just a few weeks ago, that somebody was listening to me last year. Somebody was paying attention. I love when that happens. Somebody was paying attention when I talked about what the early warning signs are. It was the father of a kid out in Freeport, Long Island, and he heard, he goes, those things that Jim just talked about on the Mets broadcast, I'm seeing that out of my son Adrian. I want to go get him checked. Sure enough, he turned out to be on the autism spectrum. He got early intervention. He's doing fantastic. He couldn't, a year ago, he couldn't say a word. Now he's just and so he was the person just like that we're done. He's actually here tonight at the invitation of Josh Toll at the amazing call program that you're running here, and we're honored to be here as always.
Stay with us for the bottom of the inning, Jim, okay?
I got a full inning.
Mets lead it as we go to the bottom of the third. Maybe. Daniel Murphy leads off the home third inning and takes a strike from John Garland. Murphy was at the plate when Reyes was picked off to end the second inning. He had a base hit his first time up, and we're visiting with Jim Watkins of Pix 11 on Autism Awareness Night as Murphy strokes one to short for Carroll to play, and there's one out. And
you might have to give it 2 innings.
So you had success last year in terms of getting across the warning signs for autism. Having had that success, why don't you go back to that again?
Now that I have proof that people listen and it really can make a difference, let me tell you, parents out there, what some of the early warning signs are. And if your child, 13, 14 months old, for instance, isn't saying any words yet, even attempting to say any words, that's a warning sign. If your child is not making any kind of eye contact, that's a huge warning sign. If your child's not pointing and making sounds of things that the child wants, another warning sign. And another key one, it's one of the big four that I'm giving you right here. It's a natural thing for children at that age, over 1 year old, 1 and a half, to want to hang out with other kids, interact with other kids. Children on the autism spectrum tend not to socialize at all. They really just go over in the corner by themselves. A lot of times when good parents say, "Oh, he's such a good boy, he's no problem," I go, "Well, sometimes he should be a problem," and that's kind of the way a typical kid would be. So keep those things in mind. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about that again, since we did get that proof last year with the little boy I was talking about, that the message is being heard out there, and awareness still needs to be raised. So the other thing that we want to mention tonight, and it's a perfect night to do so, with my boys out there, is tonight we are especially honoring the siblings of autistic children. They are the unsung heroes of this condition, because the parents sometimes have to focus so much attention on the special needs child that the brothers and sisters, they say, "Oh, they're typical, they'll be fine," and that doesn't work that way. They need to talk about it. They need to know my children are a sibling support group out in Scarsdale, and it has made an enormous difference in their lives. So another mention to parents who already have children on the autism spectrum: keep those brothers and sisters in mind, and look after their little hearts as well.
Beltran hits one toward the middle, and that sneaks through for a 2-out hit. So the Mets have their 4th hit off Garland.
You made an interesting point, though, with those 4 major signs, and that is, early intervention is so important. So, a lot of times for parents, they don't want to go there, or they don't want to go there yet when they see things that they know are wrong, but they don't want to go there yet.
Excellent point. Thank you for bringing it up. Autism is almost a complete mystery. They don't know the cause, they don't know the cure, they don't know what might make it better, they don't know why it seems to have increased. But one thing that has been proven by research is if you get them early, they have a chance to really show some improvement. If you wait because you're in denial or you just want to give it another year, don't do it. Don't do it. Pix11.com, everybody. If you want to find out more, you'll see an autism awareness icon there. Click on it. Thanks, guys. Great to see you.
Jim, thanks as always. It's great seeing you, and it's great seeing your kids out there today.
Appreciate it, guys.
Fourth inning at Citi Field, the Mets with a 2-0 lead. Dylan G pressed into service when Chris Young couldn't answer the bell tonight. Has thrown 3 scoreless innings despite the Dodgers loading the bases twice. Leona Navarro was hit by a pitch his first time up, and he takes a strike from G. And Dylan seems to have settled in now after those troublesome first couple of innings. Struck out the last 2 hitters to face him in the third. And the breaking ball hit down the right field line back toward the corner. This has a chance near the wall, and it's out of here. Leona Navarro with a home run, his first of the season, and he cuts the Met lead to 2-1. So Navarro, just his 10th official at bat of the season. Let go by the Rays after last season. Signed by the Dodgers. Missed most of the first part of the season with an oblique injury, and the former Yankee prospect Navarro hits a home run.
Well, he had his best year in 2008 with Tampa Bay when he did a lot of this right here. Good breaking ball hitter. And here at Citi Field, there's no cheapies, but if it's down the line, it's pretty good. And that was some catch by the fans.
Saw that?
That was unbelievable.
Outstanding. Over the railing, leaning. That was a great play. Jamie Carroll takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Carroll doubled down the left field line his first time up. So the Met lead is cut in half on the Leona Navarro home run. Citi Field had a reputation for being a pitcher's haven. Not so far this year. 3rd most home runs per game in the National League, trailing only Arizona and Cincinnati, both notorious home run hitters ballpark.
Break out the humidor, Gary.
Is it that the weather's been too good? I didn't think so.
It hasn't been that great. Although today was perfect.
And Navarro found the right spot. Now the 1-2, and Carroll takes low and away. Pitcher Garland waits on deck. And Carroll hits one foul. And it stays 2-2. 37-year-old Jamie Carroll, who has fashioned himself a rather unexpected career. Everybody remembers Matt Holiday's face plant at the home plate for the Rockies in that wild card playoff against the Padres. This is the guy who hit the sacrifice fly.
That's right.
By the way, I don't think he's touched home yet. Hit hard, base hit, and Carroll is 2 for 2. So Dylan G gives a couple of hits to the 7 and 8 hitters to start the 4th inning, and the tying run aboard with Garland coming up.
Well, high ball hitters, Jamie Carroll, is just one of those guys who likes to play pepper with the baseball. And a baseball family. University of Evansville, his brother Wes is the coach of that baseball team.
So now Garland comes up in a bunting situation. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Guys, maybe one of the better offseason acquisitions this year wasn't a player. It was first base coach Davey Lopes, brought in by the Dodgers, who left Philadelphia. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that knows a thing or two about stealing bases, as that one is foul. 557 steals for Lopes in his career. At one point, he stole 38 straight in a season. He knows how to steal. He knows about efficiency. And it'll take the long term to see how it affects the Dodgers. But Matt Kemp is one guy. He had 19 steals last year. He's got 10 already this year. And he gushed about him. He said, look, he is real positive. He believes in studying the game. And when he speaks, you listen. He's already said some key things to me. And the biggest thing has been patience. And that's an interesting thing. I pulled Lopes aside and I asked him about patience and just how hard, when you look at it, as here's the bunt, and that'll be successful. Ike over to Murphy. But I asked him about patience and how you teach that to a base runner trying to steal.
They think they can outrun the baseball, and I haven't seen a guy yet that can do that. But they want to try to force the issue sometimes when it's not even there. And that's because of the aggressiveness, the youth, the speed. And I always tell them there are times where you're going to have to pull back and tip your cap and just wait and wait and wait. And maybe he'll give you a slow move. And you got to be ready that 5th time. But if you're falling asleep, And because he's been quick the first 4 pitches, you're not going to be able to pick up and react to that 5th slow move. So sometimes the guys are just too fast, and you just can't do it. They're 1-2 to the plate. You're going to get thrown out. Your chances of getting successful is not very good.
It's pretty good knowledge. Hi, guys. I know the players in the Phillies really loved Lopes, and you'd have to think he'd make a great impact here once this season is through.
The thing about Davey Lopes is he was young, he was fast, but he was still stealing bases when he was an older player.
Well, in 1985 for the Cubs, 40-year-old stole 47 bases, thrown out 4 times.
And the Phillies year after year have led the league in stolen base percentage. Reyes goes behind the bag, sweeps up and throws out Miles for the 2nd out as Carroll moves over to 3rd.
Interesting. Both G and Reyes watching on the board. Good footwork here by Jose Reyes. That ball took a awkward angle off the mound. He's able to reset himself and played that ball right in the middle of his body. Easy play at first.
So now James Loney will bat with the tying run at 3rd and 2 out. Loney is singled to right center and thrown a walk on his 27th birthday. David Wright won't be able to get there. Ball didn't have enough air under. And it's a foul ball.
Kevin, the only other thing about Davey Lopes, when you're in his presence, he was such a student of the entire game, but also, the base running, of course. When you're in his presence, he almost makes you fired up. You want to steal a base.
Yeah, I thought his soundbite there was interesting because you're always thinking go, 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 go. But he's like, hey, it could be the 5th time if this guy's got a great time to the plate. And I think just the way Kemp reacted when I asked him told me all I needed to know, Ronnie. Yeah. His reaction was just, through the roof.
Kemp is a guy with great tools, and you mentioned he had 19 steals last year. He got caught 15 times. So clearly his decision making about when to go was as big an issue as his ability to steal a base.
Early on in guys' career, they're mostly guess runners because they have such great speed, like Lopes was saying. It's really like anything else, once you become a student of it, you understand every pitcher's move in baseball, which guys you can attack, which ones you can't. You also have to know which catchers to attack and not.
And you have to know situations too. You have to be smart. You have to not try at times that don't make sense. Hit to short, and Reyes right in front of it. And so G, after giving up the home run, strands the tying run at 3rd. Navarro going deep to cut the Met lead in half. It's 2-1 New York. by Capital One Bank. What's in your wallet? Mets have another game with the Dodgers tomorrow at 1 o'clock. R.A. Dickey against Clayton Kershaw. Then they go to Denver for 3. And after an off day to Houston for 3. Next Picks 11 game next Saturday when the Mets play the Astros at Minute Maid Park.
Interesting. Chris Young's next start, if he could make it, would be in Houston with an extra day's rest.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what transpires after Young was unable to make the start tonight. Mike Davis, first pitch swinging, hits it out to center field and deep. Back goes Kemp, but he'll have room in the cavernous left center for an easy first out. Don Mattingly was commenting after the game last night how many rocket shots were hit last night that turned into outs.
Well, Kemp hit one to center field. Beltran, of course.
Tolley hit the one in the Mo zone that Ethier caught. Jason Pridey takes a strike. Pridey doubled to right his first time up. And Pridey has another base hit. And Jason Pridey just continues to burnish the legend. He's 2 for 2.
Fastball sinking away, but not sinking enough. Pridey's interesting from that left side. Once he makes contact, let's go of the bat. Gets that extra leverage.
So 1 out and 1 on, and Josh Tolley coming up. Tolley had a sacrifice fly his first time up. Talking about Don Mattingly taking over from Joe Torre this year. First time big league skipper. Went and did a little managing in the Arizona Fall League to get himself ready, but it's his first managerial stint anywhere.
Well, he's got the built-in street cred or credentials because he was a player who played at a high level, and I think that's probably the easiest thing for him in dealing with the players. But he's been around the game a long time. He's a baseball lifer. He was one of those guys that when you watched him play, always had the proper fundamentals, instincts, knew how to play the game. The tough part, I think, is going to be as a first-year manager. You know, it's like doing this job. You got to do reps. You got to have a lot of repetitions. Luckily, he's got Trey Hillman, who managed the last couple of years in Kansas City, who's going to help him as his bench coach. But there's just so many situations, I think, that for new managers happen so quickly that sometimes you get in a bad spot.
Tolley pops one up in his shallow left, and Gibbons comes on. Stabs at it for the second out.
I mean, the most well-documented one for Mattingly happened last season when he was filling in for Torre, and he went out to talk to his pitcher, came back like he was going to go to the dugout, and then went back to say one more thing to his first baseman James Loney, and he had to take his pitcher out. It's those little things that that happen very quickly for young managers.
What about a star player as a manager? Sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you know, the guys who have had the most visible success as managers have been backup players.
I think you're right, because those are the guys that watch a lot of baseball. But I will say about Mattingly, always admired him on the other side in the Bronx. Always a student of the game.
1 hit and 1 left after 4. It's 2-1 New York. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. And Jason Friday with a couple of hits tonight, and it's always a chance to learn.
No, we know what I love about that play is Friday sprinted from first to third on that simple ball to left field. The hand on his shoulder from Chip Hale. Chip Hale is one of those guys that you're not going to see in the big moments all the time addressing players. It's those small little moments when he gives them a little bit of instruction that can make the difference.
Well, third plate appearance for Andre Ethier, looking for the hit that could extend his hitting streak to 31 games. So far tonight, he's drawn a walk and flied out to left. Swung at the first pitch his last time up, with the bases loaded and 2 out in the second, and flied out to Bay. And Ethier takes the curveball up and away for ball 1. It'll be Ethier, Kemp, and Gibbons 3, 4, and 5 in the Dodger order, with the Mets clinging to a 2-1 lead. And Ethier lifts one out to center field, and Friday drifts over. And so Ethier, through 3 plate appearances tonight, now 0 for 2 and a walk. You never know, he might only have 1 more plate appearance to go.
That's pretty interesting by Friday there. After he caught that baseball, he was shaking his head like he lost it for a moment. And Jason Bay did not shuffle over. So I think that's letting him know that any ball in the air going to have to help each other out.
It's interesting. We saw Davis lose a ball earlier tonight. We've seen a number of balls to left field so far this season where players have had trouble with the lights. Here's Matt Kemp, who's 0 for 1. Kemp hit the pop-up that Ike Davis lost, found, and made a lunging grab on in the 3rd inning after being hit by a pitch his first time up. Jay Gibbons on deck. And Kemp takes a strike, 1-1. Dylan G, the emergency starter tonight when Chris Young could not get loose in the bullpen. We've heard no further word about that. Good off speed. And it's 1-2.
G has such great change of pace on this changeup. Even when it's middle of the plate, he's able to get it by the hitter.
And for these Dodgers, first time they're seeing Dylan G. It brings a lot to the table. And Kemp lines one to right that'll fall in front of Beltran for a base hit. So the Dodgers have their 5th hit and the tying run aboard with 1 out.
Well, the one thing about Kemp, he is so strong. We'll see how Josh Tolley wants that ball up in the strike zone. He did hit the glove. But Kemp, with no stride, is able to do that just because of the strength that he has.
Well, you heard Kevin talking about Kemp and the work he's done with Davey Lopes stealing bases. See whether this is a spot for it. Jay Gibbons at the plate has popped up and struck out 0 for 2. Kemp representing the tying run with 1 out. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, beginning of this season was a nightmare for Jay Gibbons. You know, he had eye surgery last November, and after the eye surgery, which apparently didn't go right, he had no depth perception. Came to spring training, said he was in the outfield and actually saw 2 baseballs coming at him at once. Said it was ridiculously scary. Had to go to a couple doctors to try to get reevaluated and try to figure it out. He was trying out with a couple of different contacts. Close play, Kemp is back. And, you know, finally he went on the DL and they really worked with it. Initially they said that one eye was nearsighted, one eye was farsighted. Turns out he got contacts both for being nearsighted, and now he's seeing 1 baseball. But can you imagine that?
It's your livelihood.
Well, it's hard to hit without good vision. But, you know, physical ailments have been the story of Jay Gibbons' career since his great start in Baltimore. He's had wrist, back, hip, knee, shoulder, and now vision problems. Throw in the fact that he was discovered to have had steroids and HGH shipped to his house. It's been a rather checkered last 5 or 6 years for Jay Gibbons. Off the corner, and it's 2-0.
Well, very interesting for Dylan G. He's very well schooled in all the elements of the game. Has held Kemp close to the bag. Nice slide step, but has failed to throw a strike.
Had a problem earlier in the game, falling behind hitters. Seemed to have settled in nicely. Now behind on Gibbons 2-0 with Uribe on deck. Kemp getting a workout.
I think Dylan G with maybe R.A. Dickey the best moves right-handers on the Mets to first base.
And it's 3-0 to Gibbons. Tolle has walked 2. He's also hit 2 batters. He'd only hit 1 batter in his major league career before tonight. Does the fact that he had to warm up late on short notice, does that affect how deep he could go into this game tonight?
I personally would be thinking 85 to 90 pitches at the most.
And that's ball 4. And so the Dodgers have 2 men on. 3rd walk given up by G.
And, you know, the other thing you can use, Gary, is your eyes watching Dylan G here. 4 pitches, a walk with a guy on first. That's something you don't see from Dylan G. That to me is the first sign that, you know, we maybe have to get someone up here and start to be ready.
So a chance for Juan Uribe. Tonight has flied out and struck out 0 for 7 in this series. And the curveball bends in for a strike to Uribe. Kemp at second and Gibbons at first with 1 out. And if you G, you have to be thinking ground ball here from Uribe. It is not all that fast. One and 1. DeAndre Navarro, who homered for the Dodgers' only run, waits on deck. See G twirling the baseball in his hand like that.
It's always scary, right?
Yeah. And a good breaking ball 1 and 2. You worry about a pitcher dropping the ball, because if he does, it's a balk.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you'd like to teach him not to do. But good breaking ball again, putting Uribe in the hole. Well, you've seen a balk from Bobby Parnell, right? Holding the ball.
Tolle with a good block, and that keeps Kemp at second base. That's one of the better blocks from Tolle.
Well, you know, 2 fastballs really beat him to the point, but you know, when you're ahead of a batter, you call a curveball by your pitcher, you have to anticipate that ball is going to be in the dirt.
Now it's 2 and 2 to Uribe. As Kemp dances off second, and it's fouled back. Good fastball up from G, and Uribe stays in.
Tolle and G have a real good plan here. That's how they struck him out in his last at bat. Fastball out of the strike zone, but that is a pitch that you're not going to get a ground ball on.
And the curveball bounced foul. I saw G working over the bubble gum there.
Yeah.
John Neist last night apparently got some benefit from bubble gum. A suggestion from Chris Capuano, who told him chew some gum, get some stickiness going on the ball. Neist said he had trouble gripping it last night, and it helped.
It does, but you have to keep changing the gum out because it loses that stickiness.
Need extra sugar.
That's right.
Like Jolt gum. Pop foul, and this will come back out of play. I'd never heard that before, though.
Yeah, I've seen guys use before, and also in my day, thank God they don't do it as much anymore, you would wrap the gum around the tobacco, and once you put that in, you really get a lot of moisture and a lot of stickiness. And you know, me being a little bit of a germaphobe,
just don't swallow.
Unless you want to turn green.
Yeah, some guys use pine tar.
There you go. I've seen that before too.
By the way, I think that's the second Jay Howell reference at this homestand.
That's right.
Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. He went way upstairs to get Uribe this time. And that's the second out. Second time he struck out Uribe.
Well, good job by the battery mates Tolle and G to stay with that pitch. Awkward swing there by Uribe, who did not want to swing, and at the last minute.
Well, that pitch in your eyes is the pitch you can see the best, and nobody can hit it.
What's the line? Love it, but you can't hit it, right? Well, he hit a home run on a breaking ball, so that might be a pitch you want to stay away from with Navarro. Fastball's in, maybe that changeup from G. He could feature against Navarro here.
Navarro's home run was his first since June of last year with Tampa Bay, and the fastball away for ball one.
Not a bad breaker, but you know that down and into the left-handers, we show it all the time. Danger zone.
Still a highlight reel catch by the guy in the vest. And a call strike, 1-1 to Navarro. You know, Navarro's only 27. It feels like he's been around forever. This is his second tour with the Dodgers. He was originally a Yankee prospect. He was traded for Randy Johnson. Then he was traded for Sean Green.
Wow.
Very early in his career. And a call strike, 1-2.
Nice use of the fastball. To me, it's almost like Navarro was sitting on a breaking pitch. His first couple of strikes here against G.
Kemp and Gibbons aboard with 2 down. G's already pitched out of a couple of big-time jams tonight. Now ahead on Navarro, 1-2. Little looper over short, and back goes Reyes to grab it and end the inning. The knuckleball off the bat of Navarro, and so G pitches out of trouble again. John, the Dodgers leave 2. We're halfway through, 2-1 New York. Two to 1 lead. They'll present the top of the batting order against John Garland in the bottom of the 5th. Garland has been such a dependable pitcher that over the last 9 years, there are only 5 pitchers in baseball who've made 30 starts each of the last 9 years, and Garland is one of the 5. Mark Burley, Livan Hernandez, Derek Lowe, and Barry Zito are the others. I'm not sure if Zito's going to make it to 30 this year. Haven't heard anything about that foot injury, whether he's close to coming back.
Well, it's just been a kind of a crazy time since he's gone to San Francisco. Even crazier this year. He's involved in a car wreck early in the year, and then that ankle injury.
Daniel Murphy on deck, and then David Wright for the Mets as they look to add on here in the 5th. Reyes drove in a run with a 2nd inning single, but also got picked off first base. Just kind of a, what you call it, falling asleep, I guess the best way you can describe it.
It was, and you know what, that's something that someone on the bench or the scouts have picked up. And when Reyes went back to the base, he doesn't look at the catcher. Always have to look.
Pops this one up, and the second baseman Miles trailing out. Reyes retired, one away.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by HBO Go. Introducing HBO Go, the new streaming service from HBO. Now Murphy is 1 for 2, single to left and grounded to short. That's got both their runs in the second inning, driven in by Tolle and Reyes. David Wright to follow. Speaking of pitchers and injuries, Roy Oswalt went on the DL for the Phillies. Hal Kendrick taking his place tonight against the Braves. 5 scoreless innings so far. And a 3-0 Philly lead. Murphy gets all tied up. Takes inside 2-1.
You and I were talking about it. Oswalt hasn't really been right all season long. You could tell that he had a walkie back for some time.
Bounce down to first, and Loney with a good glove makes the play on Murphy for the second out. Of course, last night Cliff Lee did something that no Philly had done in 14 years, and that's strike out 16 batters, and he did it in only 7 innings.
You know what the hardest part to do? Strike out 16 batters. Keep up 9 hits. When you have stuff that strikes out 16 batters, it's almost impossible to give up 9 hits, but he did.
By the way, lost the game. What I found interesting reading about that game, though, was about Derek Lowe, who was working on a no-hitter for 6 innings and gave up a couple of hits and left the game, and said that he would not have been able to complete the no-hitter because he had a blister on the bottom of his foot, which was affecting him to a point where he was going to have to pull himself out of the game, whether he had a no-hitter going or not.
That would have been a good story not to share with anyone.
2-0 to Wright, who's walked and flied to right, 0 for 1. I like Lowe's quote, though, talking about the blister.
As Wright drives one to deep left center field. Back goes Kemp toward the gap, and this one will hit right near the wall. David Wright cruises into second base with a 2-out double. 8th double of the year for David Wright. His first hit in this series.
Well, even when David's struggling, he seems to always, in his career, find his hits against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Little slider up in the strike zone, one hop to Kemp.
David began the night a lifetime .402 hitter against the Dodgers, the highest batting average by any active player against any team. So now Beltran with a runner at second and 2 down. Carlos is 1 for 2. Anyway, Lowe said about the blister, he said, "I'm disappointed in my skin."
He's a guy that traditionally had blister problems on his fingers, too, from pitching.
Garland working carefully here to Beltran with first base open, and the right-hand hitter Bay on deck. Last night, Don Mattingly issued a couple of intentional walks, and they both blew up on him. No intentional walk here, at least not for the moment. Although it certainly looks like Garland is pitching around Beltran. Last night, with 2 out of the 7th, they intentionally walked Beltran to get to Bay, and Bay drove in the run.
Automatically have to have the swing here. 3-0.
Beltran loves to swing 3-0 if the pitch is right, but it's way outside with the changeup, and so they had no intention of giving Beltran anything to hit. And that's the 3rd walk given up by Garland. So if you're the hitter on deck, you take a little bit of offense if they intentionally walk the guy in front of you. But what if there's an unintentional intentional walk like that? You feel the same kind of, I don't know, get up and go?
No, I don't think you feel the same incentive because you know that he's pitching around him, and you don't want to go up there and hit one up through the box. But Jason Bay, he's a pro. He just wants to get a base hit here like he did last night. I don't think there's extra incentive. It's smart baseball, and he knows that.
Day is taking a call third strike and hit a comebacker. It sounds good, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Mason is so even keeled. Kind of guy who always aspires to play 150 plus games a year. Already had a crank put in this season by the oblique injury that started the season for him.
I tell you, Garland has saved his best for base so far. Almost every pitch on the corner.
And he lines one to short, and Carroll comes up with a tough hop and gets the force play to end the inning. They hit the ball hard, but right at Carroll, and Garland works out a 2-out trouble. The fifth inning is brought to you by Ford. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. 5 in the books, 2-1 New York.
On top of the Dodgers 2-1, and we welcome you back. And all weekend the Mets again doing their city alumni, some of the former Met players back here. I'm with George Foster now, and George, just asking you what you've been up to, and actually it's a great thing. You have your own foundation. Why don't you tell us what you've been doing with it?
Well, we have the Foster Youth Network. Been doing it for like 7 years. We work with inner city kids and also kids that parents have been deployed to Iraq or Iran and Afghanistan, to making sure that the kids have some type of positive outlet and serve as, I guess, like a surrogate parent until their parents get back.
It's obviously a great cause. It's going to dunk in for a base hit. Jamie Carroll is 3 for 3. You were an MVP in your years of the Big Red Machine. I mean, you had 52 home runs in a time when no one hit 50 home runs. Did it bother you, with the revelations about the PEDs and things like that kind of changed the home run game?
Well, at that time, I feel great about the fact that I had done it so-called naturally. And it's unfortunate that there was no rules about the steroids situation. So somebody was able to get that edge and take advantage of being able to utilize it. But nobody realized it was going to be that they helped them to be, the performance-enhancing drugs are going to help them to be that much better. But I think the hand and eye coordination really is the one that enhanced everything. So it's unfortunate because the kids of high school and college feel that by taking steroids it's going to help them become a better player. But they haven't talked about any side effects. So right now a lot of kids are getting involved.
When you came to the Mets as a sacked bunt by Garland here, Dodgers have the tying run in scoring position. What were the expectations like? I mean, obviously you're coming off of those monster years in Cincinnati. Describe what the expectations were like and what you felt coming to New York.
Well, at the time, I guess I didn't have the I felt that every ball club wanted to win, and every ball club is going to work hard to win. But unfortunately, coming to the match, they weren't as prepared then. But I feel good about the fact that I was the beginning of that piece they wanted to put together as a winning ball club. They ended up winning in '86, and then when Keith Hernandez had come over, and then Darryl Strawberry had a chance to develop. And one thing that I was hoping, I saw Carter coming over. I was biting at the bit, thinking that, well, I'm going to bat behind Keith Hernandez in front of Carter or Strawberry. I will get a lot of pitches to hit. It never did happen as such. I didn't put the numbers together as I expected or the fans expected. But I'm just glad that in '86 they finally won.
Aaron Miles up the middle, and here comes a throw home, hits the mound. Carroll scores. We've got a tie game. George, one more. You know, in that you were let go in August, and you talked about being a part of that. Did you watch the World Series? What were your feelings as that was going on, and you see that group playing for what they did?
Well, I was here, we're at Shea watching the 6th game, because at the time, of course, the Mets were, I think they were losing at the time. Then they had come back, but I could see the faces on the players of the Red Sox. They were a little dejected at the time. I know the Mets fans were feeling pretty good, but it was a great situation. Even though I wasn't physically involved, it's just still trying to build that support to the players, you know, to bring a winner, because I felt the city deserved it.
Well, George, thanks. Great catching up with you. Meanwhile, great job by Dylan G. Gary, take it away.
So G is done after 5 1/3 after the Dodgers tie the game on Aaron Miles' hit. And now Mike O'Connor will come in to make his Mets debut. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro USA. Now Metro PCS covers 90% of the country. Up when Pedro Beato went on the disabled list, and now he makes his Mets debut.
Hasn't pitched in the major leagues since pitching for the Washington Nationals in 2008, and that was only a handful of games. Saw his record down in Buffalo. What a shame, I believe, for Dylan G. You know, notified 15 minutes before the game, sent out there for the 6th to try to push him through another inning, but almost every inning he pitched was under duress.
So O'Connor comes in to face the lefties, Loney and Ethier. Loney 1 for 2 and a walk, and he pulls off that breaking ball, 0-1. And Loney just looks all messed up at the plate, doesn't he?
He used to have one of the prettiest swings in the game, and I don't know if he's right in the middle of making a Tiger Woods swing adjustment, but I mean, that's the swing that you would never see.
O'Connor competed for a job with the Mets in spring this year, but struggled. had been pitching pretty well recently at Buffalo. 3 straight scoreless outings before the Mets called it off. Has not pitched in 5 days. Was in the Nationals rotation back in 06, made 20 starts for them that year. That was his most extensive big league experience. And a fastball for a strike to Loney, 1-2.
Very interesting motion. Kind of drops his arm down to the ground, throws almost straight over the top, and has a little slider that he doesn't really. It's not a big slider. Kind of pulls it to that outside corner.
What about you? It makes my arm hurt watching him pitch. And a fastball in there for a call, strike 3. So Loney down looking, and that's the second out.
The lefties in his career have hit .241 against him. Drops that arm, a little pitch on the outside corner, and Loney caught watching. Look at this motion, pretty simple. Kind of tucks that right leg, drops that arm back, and that stiff front leg, kind of gravity takes him over that leg.
Michael Connor out of George Washington University will now try and shut down Andre Ethier, who's 0 for 2 and a walk. Looking again to extend that 30-game hitting streak. And the slider low and away. Now Ethier coming into this series had poor numbers against lefties, just .229, but had a couple of hits against John Neese last night. Not a base stealer at this point in his career. You see the numbers for Ethier better against lefties now after those 2 hits last night. And it's too high, and O'Connor behind 2-0. Dylan G threw 88 pitches over 5 1/3, allowed the 2 runs so far on 7 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a couple of hit by pitch, and a home run. You have to figure this is O'Connor's last batter with Kemp on deck. And now it's 3-0 to Ethier. Igarashi getting ready for the Mets with Kemp to follow. So Ethier, who got a hit last night on a 3-0 pitch, has a 3-0 count again.
Beato gone. Igarashi getting a lot of work.
And of course the Mets are 1 shy in the bullpen tonight with G getting the start. So let's see if Ethier's swinging. He does, and he misses. 3-1. Well, it worked for him last night on 3-0.
Good sinker there though by Michael Connor inside. Tied Ethier up just a little bit.
You don't see many swings and misses up 3-0. See a pop up or a ground ball once in a while, but not too many flat out misses. 3-1 from O'Connor, and Ethier bounces one for Murphy to handle. And so Andre Ethier now 0 for 3. Nice debut for the Mets for Mike O'Connor. He retires his 2 lefties. 2-2 ball game in the middle of the 6th at Citi Field.
score. Now more than ever, you need to stay on top of what's going on in the world. Keep it here for the Pix 11 News at 10. Tonight, right after the game on Pix 11. John Garland comes out to the bottom of the 6th inning. Dodgers have gotten him even. Mets had a 2-0 lead. Navarro homered in the 4th. Miles base hit. Drove in a run in the 6th. And now it's a 2-2 game as Ike Davis leads off in the bottom of the 6th. Ike has walked and scored and hit a long fly ball to center field. 0 for 1 tonight. And he takes the first pitch below the knees for ball 1. It'll be Davis, then Jason Pridey, and Josh Tolley, 3 left-hand hitters for the Mets against Garland in the 6th. Coming into the night, Garland had given up a .277 batting average against lefties, only .159 against righties. That's a 1 right-handed hit against him. That was David Wright's double in the 5th.
I find it interesting against right-handed hitters. He loves to paint that outside corner, but very rarely goes inside the lefties.
Same side of the plate.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Now he wants it inside. 2-1.
Usually off the plate to set up that changeup. I don't know about you, but every time Ike gets up, it feels like he's going to hit a home run, doesn't it? I mean, he's just in one of those streaks.
Streaks are nice. Well, here's a guy early in the 2nd year of his career. In fact, just barely over a full calendar year in the big leagues. He was already emerging as a major threat. And word gets around fast these days. Just off the corner, and that's one thing that's just so impressive about Ike. I mean, he'll take a few call third strikes. He's still learning a little in that regard, but his plate discipline is superb.
And you couldn't say that about his plate discipline last year.
So he's worked it to 3-2 against Garland. He's given up 4 home runs over his first 4 starts this year. Had a good year for San Diego last year. Won 14 games for that terrific San Diego staff. 3-2. And it's foul tip held by Navarro. Strike 3. So Davis is struck out. That's the 2nd of the night for Garland. Does not strike out many. In fact, over the course of his career, just 4.9 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Well, Ike's shaking his head because that was a changeup right there for him to hit, but took a little more off it, did Garland.
So now Jason Pridey, who's 2 for 2 tonight after his 3-run bomb last night, has a single and a double tonight, and he takes a changeup high for ball 1. Garland pitched in San Diego last year, and last night, if you look at those strikeout numbers, 2nd lowest among active starters. Last night, a cruel blow for the former Met Heath Bell, as Pridey has himself another base hit. Well, Jason Pridey with a 3 for 3 night.
Just a nice short stroke on this ball that's supposed to be inside down the middle. It's jammed just a little bit. But that's a nice short stroke you see from Jason Pridey.
He's hitting everything right now. I mean, he's gotten some mistake pitches to hit, but he's hit pitches on the inside part of the plate, on the outside part of the plate.
Pitcher's pitches.
Yeah. So 1 out and 1 on. And now Josh Tolley, the batter. Tolley drove in the first Met run with a sacrifice fly and then flied out in the 4th, so he's 0 for 1. Anyway, Heath Bell last night had converted 41 consecutive saves. He came in with a 3-run lead against the Diamondbacks and had 2 out in the 9th. He had walked a couple of guys. He'd given up a run. 2 out, ground ball to Chase Headley, error, 2 runs scored, tie game, save streak over. Padres wound up winning the game, and Headley wound up walking to drive in the winning run, but was beside himself at having led Heath Bell's save streak in.
Well, the Dodgers in town. What was Gagne's 84? 84. Yeah.
Game over. That's what they used to put on the board at Dodger Stadium when Gagne came.
Well, it was game over.
What was his song?
Welcome to the Jungle. Was that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Boy, when he was great, he was great.
Well, he was the first guy that I used to watch that had 3 outstanding pitches, much like Francisco Rodriguez for the Mets. Now, you know, that good fastball, overhand curve, and that parachute change. He could throw that pitch on any count, either pitch on any count.
Tolley at the plate. Willie Harris out on deck to pinch hit. And Pridey getting a lot of attention from Garland. Jason has 1 steal so far. With his 3 hits tonight, Jason Pridey is at 300.
Garland's trying to keep him close. We know Tolley's a good hit and run man. Usually you wait for a 2-1 count. 1-1's fine.
Garland throws a lot of strikes. Low and inside. It's 2-1. Oh, now you got your hit and run count. Know your signs.
Very interesting. Going for the belt. It's usually a hold in that sign. So it'll be interesting if it changes up.
Could be opposite day.
There you go. Remember your Seinfeld, right?
There he goes, and it's grounded to third, and Uribe will have to go to first with it. So they played the hit and run, and Tolley grounds out as Pridey takes second.
Say to yourself, boy, you know, it didn't work. Well, it did work. You got Pridey to second base. You got him in scoring position. Josh Tolley hit a real dastardly pitch and put it in play.
So now Willie Harris will get a chance to get that lead run home. Willie pinch hit last night and drew a walk. 0 for 10 as a pinch hitter so far this year. Mets as a team are 7 for 62 pinch hitting. That's a 113 batting average. So Harris looking to break that up a little bit and get that lead run in from second base. And Garland walking back off the mound to chase Pridey back. That was intriguing.
It really was. Well, Pridey's going to get a big lead because both the second baseman Miles and the shortstop Carroll are going to play their position, try to cover the most area in that infield.
And Harris bounces the first pitch foul.
Watching Pridey play, Gary, I don't know if you feel the same way. Well schooled in the fundamentals of playing this game. No surprise that he's a Minnesota Twin product.
Kind of like his third base coach.
There you go.
Chip Hale also out of that Twins organization. Ball and a strike to Harris. Well, with Pridey playing as well as he has, you don't know when Angel Pagan is going to come back, but you know, for Willie Harris, every at bat now becomes very important because he and Pridey kind of duplicate each other.
Yeah.
There's a strike, 1 and 2. I mean, I keep reading that Shin Wong Hu's spot on the roster might be in jeopardy, but there's no other backup shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have him for, you know, defensive purposes late in games. And you're right, he's the only guy that can really play short for, you know, if Reyes went down for a couple days,
or even for part of a game. To me, if Hu isn't here and you have the current roster construction, you know your backup shortstop is David Wright.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I guess you could do it in an emergency, but you wouldn't want to do it for long. Of course, you know, David's mentor, Howard Johnson, he played some shortstop.
Right. Yeah, when Sid was pitching. You know what's interesting here is Garland's talking to the catcher Navarro. Pridey's getting such a big lead. I don't know if Garland's worried that Pridey's getting the signs. So change it up.
It's like there's some conversation going on out there between Garland and Pridey.
He's not happy with that big lead, and too bad.
Well, then you better have your shortstop duck in and say hello. Now the 1-2, and Harris takes low inside. 2-2. 90 pitches now for John Garland, and not nearly the ball strike ratio he's accustomed to. Now the 2-2, and Harris takes it on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. So Garland gets Harris looking to strand Friday at second base. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Garland, 3 on the night, and that keeps the game tied after 6 at Citi Field. Dodgers continues tomorrow afternoon at 1:10 p.m. Tickets start at $10. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. This tour of Citi Field brought to you by Citi. What's your story? Citibank can help you write it. Now there's Keith's Grill. Try the Mex burger. It's outstanding. It's got the guacamole.
Really?
Jalapeno.
It's a very Northern California kind of burger, which makes sense.
A lot of flavor to it. Ryota Igarashi will take over the pitching in the 7th.
Well, pitching yesterday's ball game, gave up a hit in a third of an inning of work and got a big strikeout.
We figure Keith, American Hotel right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Knee deep into his Clams Casino.
Well, he was here to throw out the second first pitch of the night. So he threw it out, what, about 7:10? And what do you think? Wheels up in the parking lot 7:12?
Yeah. Tony, we should have put the Reyes triple clock on it.
That would have been outstanding. Right? He might have beaten 10.4. Igarashi getting a lot of work right now. Faced 2 batters last night. It was the winning pitcher. And Kemp hits one sharply, and Murphy knocks it down. Still has time, but loses it the second time. And Kemp is aboard. Well, Murphy had 2 cracks at it. Still had plenty of time, but dropped it the second time.
I think these are the things that you'll see when someone hasn't played the position a lot. It's that inner clock that good infielders have, that you don't have to rush it. Take your time. Made a nice stop blocking with his chest. Take your time. He had plenty of time.
It's an error charge to Murphy that puts the lead run aboard with nobody out. And now Jay Gibbons will come to the plate. Gibbons has popped up, struck out, and walked 0 for 2. And he takes a strike at the knees. 0-1. For Murphy, that's only his second error of the season. And Igarashi trying to make sure it doesn't prove to be costly. Kemp takes off early. Tolley's throw is not nearly in time. Kemp got an enormous jump against Igarashi and has his 11th stolen base of the year.
Well, 27 attempted steals now. Josh has only thrown out 4, but you can't put this on Josh. Little breaking pitch from Igarashi, did not pay any attention to Kemp at first base, and I don't care who's catching. That is going to be a stolen base.
Well, you heard the story earlier with Kevin talking to Davey Lopes about how much the Dodgers have been studying the stolen base game and how Kemp has been a prime beneficiary. Well, he got the right time and the right move to steal on there. So now the go-ahead run in scoring position with nobody out. 1-1 to Gibbons with Juan Uribe on deck. Kemp, who was 19 of 34 last year, is 11 of 14 this year.
And he can be a 30-30 kind of guy.
Well, it is Seinfeld night here, and look who's here. George Costanza, Jerry Stiller. He's going to be leading the crowd in "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch. And once he gets done pontificating there, he'll be joining Kevin. That should be good for about 17 laughs in the first 30 seconds. Two and 1 to Gibbons, and he floats one foul. But you know who's also here tonight? The Soup Nazi.
Really?
Larry Thomas played the Soup Nazi, was here in costume.
You know what? Whether it's a game in '64, Mets Cardinals, or the Soup Nazi's real name, I don't know how you do it. Unbelievable.
Thank you. You can have soup.
Okay.
Try the mulligatawny. Popped up. So Igarashi makes a good pitch on Gibbons, and Reyes is there to call. That's the first out. Igarashi not only made a good pitch, he went and covered third base.
Well, it's a nice play there because both Wright and Reyes converging on that baseball. Reyes calls Wright off, and a nice play by Igarashi to go to third base. Fundamentals, little things that pitchers have to do other than get hitters out.
So now Juan Uribe, who struck out his last 2 at bats against Dylan G, is the only Dodger other than the pitcher not to reach base tonight. 0 for 8 in the series. And a pickoff try, and Murph had to reach back to keep that from going into center field.
Most common mistake for pitchers when they're trying this pickoff move is Kemp almost got caught leaning the wrong way. They never make that full turn, and that throw is always to the left of the second baseman.
Do you have to kind of aim at the runner in order to get in the right spot?
I think you have to make sure that you can pick up the second baseman before you throw. That's going to be interesting. It's easy for Tolley because he's been calling the game all night long. They took advantage of Uribe going out of the strike zone with fastballs up in the strike zone. Hopefully Igarashi was paying attention too, so they'll be on the same wavelength.
Last time G got him on a pitch right up in his eyes. One to Uribe. Was the wave part of the Seinfeld episode?
I don't know.
Remember that.
Maybe they're just channeling the time when Seinfeld was on.
I remember Elaine wearing the wrong hat at a baseball game. 1-1 from Igarashi, and the breaking ball swung and missed. 1-2.
Well, this just goes to show you that not every hanging breaking ball is hit out of the ballpark. Igarashi got away with one there.
See the expression on Uribe's face. He knew he'd missed one. Igarashi ahead 1-2.
And he gets him swinging at the high heat. 3 times in a row now, Uribe's gone down on a high fastball. And that's the second out.
Well, the Mets have read Uribe right. He has not made an adjustment. He's still swinging at a ball outside the strike zone and not making any contact.
So after the error and the stolen base, Kemp's still at second now with 2 out. And Dioner Navarro will dig in. Navarro accounted for the first Dodger run with his first home run of the season. He's also been hit by a pitch and hit a soft liner to short. And Tolley needs a conversation.
Well, both Igarashi and Tolley have been struggling back and forth with what Tolley's been calling a lot of shaking of the head by Igarashi.
You know, during spring training and early in the season, we saw Igarashi make use of his curveball, but it's been kind of a forgotten weapon. Now he just hung one to Uribe. Does that make him more reluctant?
I think that he has to use all his pitches. You know, he can't be just a fastball pitcher. He tried to do that in the second half of last season. It did not work.
Starts him off with a fastball and gets a strike to Navarro. Jamie Carroll, who already has 3 for 3 tonight, waiting on deck. Each team with 2 runs and 7 hits. Navarro swings through another fastball, and it's 0-2.
Good fastball by Navarro. But watch his hand. Slips off the bat as he's trying to swing. Kind of loses the grip just a little bit there at the end.
Turn, but no throw as Reyes had gone to the bag.
This is where I think with the 0-2 count, you want your runner on second base just to take his big lead, but just stay still. Let Navarro concentrate on trying to put the ball in play against Igarashi.
See if he goes either a fastball or a split here on 0-2. Popped up in foul ground. Tolley back for a look. It's out of play. Well, the Dodgers have had plenty of chances going all the way back to the first inning when they loaded the bases with 1 out against Dylan G. They've had just 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. A season-long problem for LA. They came in at .231 on the season with runners in scoring position. That man is in full readiness mode, ready for the first notes of take me out to the ball game. Waiting on Igarashi's 0-2, and he comes inside, a ball on 2 strikes. Is he going to do it Harry Carey style? I have a feeling Jerry's got something up his sleeve.
Well, he is a man from live comedic television in the 40s, 50s, 60s. He's always ready.
Nothing better than those old Stiller and Mirror bits. Now the 1-2, and it's too high. 2-2 now to Navarro. But will he do it as Frank Costanza? I mean, it's too early for Festivus.
Well, those early comedic personalities. They can do it all. Song and dance man, whatever it takes.
Igarashi trying to put away Navarro with 2 out. And another look at Kemp, but nobody was covering.
Well, I was going to say that Kemp, he can do whatever he wants to do. It shouldn't bother Igarashi one bit, but I'm wrong. I guess it did.
He's going to score on a base hit to the outfield anyway.
If you're the pitcher, who cares? You don't even have to look at him. Give him one look. All your focus has got to be on Navarro. All of it.
On 2-2, Navarro swings and fouls off the fastball. And so he's still in there. Well, Igarashi, the victim of an error behind him, has retired the next 2, but struggling to get Navarro out as Mike McDougal gets up in the Dodger bullpen. He's going to get him a milkshake.
Shake Shack?
Got to fill out the uniform. Tim Burdack is going to wait for the call tonight. Seventh pitch of the at bat, and the off speed pitch away, 3-2. Splitter from Igarashi missing badly. So now after getting ahead 0-2, he's gone to a full count. It looks like he's seen enough.
Yes.
Kemp at second and 2 out, 3-2 to Deoner Navarro. And it's too high, ball 4, and the Dodgers have 2 men on. So Igarashi loses Navarro to a walk. And now he'll have to face Jamie Carroll, who's already 3 for 3 tonight. That's 4 walks for Met pitching. Dan Warthen will spend a trip to the mound. Now, the problem last night was when Warthen went to the mound, the plan had been that if a guy got on base in front of James Loney, that Burdack was going to come into the game.
Yeah.
And they kind of had that in their heads down there. Now, John Davis, there were 2 pitchers warming up, so Davis, the bullpen coach, had to catch one of the 2 pitchers. Dave Racanello, the bullpen catcher, catching the other one. And so when they saw Warthen go to the mound, he saw it out of the corner of his eye, thought it was Terry going out there, and so they said, Burdack, you're on.
Well, usually if you have 2 catchers down there, you can have John Davis will be next to, in between the phone and the pitchers, so he'll, it's much easier for him to see, of course.
But what happened was Burdack came running in from the bullpen, got away about halfway to the infield before he realized that he was not being summoned.
And everyone we talked to today, no one had seen that before, and there was a lot of people, yourself and Howie, have done a lot of games.
So Burdack waiting his turn patiently tonight. Here's Carroll with 2 out and 2 on. And takes the breaking ball inside for ball 1. Carroll has doubled to the left field line and twice singled to left. He's scored a run tonight. Trying to pick up Kemp from second with the go-ahead run. Jerry Sands has come out on deck as a pinch hitter. Sands started last night and played left field. One and 1 to Carroll. Jamie Carroll with his 3 hits tonight has his average up to 298. Igarashi trying to wind his way through this 7th inning that started with Daniel Murphy's error. And Carroll takes 2 high, 2-1. Dylan G went 5 1/3 as the emergency started tonight, allowed 2 runs and 7 hits, and no decision for him tonight. Mike O'Connor retired the only 2 batters to face him in his Mets debut. And now Igarashi, the 3rd arm of the night.
Well, they're going to have to get the ball down. Igarashi's been throwing that fastball up, and that's all Carroll's 3 hits tonight have been on fastballs up.
You look at that perturbed expression. He and Tolley are having a big time problem. I don't know if it's signs or pitch selection that's the issue. But now the 2-1, and it's too high to Carroll, and it's 3-1.
Let's see why they'd have a problem. Igarashi throws 95% fastballs, so and we'll see one here on 3-1. Don't even have to give a sign.
It ends in 1. And it's too high, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So back-to-back 2-out walks to the 7 and 8 hitters. By the way, those 7 and 8 hitters, Navarro and Carroll, they've been on base 7 out of 8 tonight. So now the base is loaded with 2 out, and the rookie Jerry Sands will come up to pinch hit. Sands played left field last night, went 1 for 4 against John Neese. Sands, who was called up in the middle of April, the Dodgers minor league player of the year last year, hitting 35 home runs in single A and double A ball, but he has struggled at the big league level, hitting just 192. This will be just his 2nd pinch hit at bat. So Igarashi has run out of room. Bases loaded and 2 out for Sands. And he first pitch swings and fouls off the fastball. 0-1.
It's the toughest part for a manager. You got a left-hander up, but you have a right-hander on the mound who can't find the home plate, but got ahead there of Sands.
It is uncanny what 8 hitters have done against the Mets this year. A 408 on base percentage out of the 8 hole. And I would not be surprised that that's the worst in the majors. I mean, you would think that an American League 8 hitter would have
a little different ball game.
But that's the worst everyday player in the lineup hitting 8th. Aaron Miles, the 8 hitter yesterday, is the leadoff hitter today. He's on deck. 1-1 to Jerry Sands. And he fouls it away, and now Igarashi's ahead in the count. 1-2.
Not a lot of mystery with Igarashi. Just fastball after fastball up in the strike zone.
And the curves and the couple of splits that he's thrown in this inning have been poor, so it's really all he's left with. He's 27 pitches deep into this 7th inning. The Dodgers twice have left the bases loaded tonight. Igarashi trying to get him to do it again. 2-2. Sands batting for John Garland, who's done after 6 innings. And Chip Hale is having a conniption.
I think he needs a hug. I think
he's talking to Igarashi's translator, Mike Peters, saying, "Can you figure this out?"
Yell something out there.
Mike says, "What am I supposed to say? I'm just the translator." Now the 2-2. On the outside corner, he gets him looking. So Igarashi stumbles through the 7th, but strikes out Sands to leave him loaded. Still 2-2. Go, Jerry.
the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. So it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. So it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. I love you. I love you, baby.
The great Jerry Stiller leading the crowd and take me out to the ball game.
Dodgers make a couple of changes, bring in Tony Gwynn to play left field. And the hard-throwing right-hander Mike McDougal will come on to pitch.
Well, he pitched in some limited games last season for the St. Louis Cardinals. 70 career saves, most of them when he was with the Kansas City Royals.
Had a nice stretch last year or 2 years ago with the Nationals when he saved 20 games. And it was the closer by default there, and it worked out for him.
They traded to Joel Hanrahan, their closer, and gave the job to Mike.
Top of the batting order, Jose Reyes leads off the home 7th, and McDougal, who can be a little wild, throws low and inside for ball 1. Reyes 1 for 3, singled home a second inning run. Mets scored both their runs in the second. Dodgers tied it with a Navarro homer in the 4th and a run in the 6th. Murphy and Wright to follow. And Reyes takes a strike, 1-1. John Garland went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 92 pitches, and a no decision for Garland tonight. And Reyes fouls it off, 1-2. We'll say 4 for 7 in this series. A couple of triples last night. Hong-Chi Kuo getting ready in the Dodger bullpen. And with lefty Murphy on deck.
This is the part of the game where you'd like to see Reyes get one of those Reyes runs.
And he's seen McDougal enough to know that he can be very erratic around the strike zone. Fouled away. Still 2-2. Reyes takes it high, and he's worked the count full. Reyes started out the night with a .377 on base percentage. That would be the high of his career if he were to maintain that.
And he hits one up the middle for a base hit. So Reyes has another 2-hit game, and Kemp, who was playing very deep, sure to charge that ball just so Reyes wouldn't get the idea of trying to stretch that.
Well, nice setting fastball down the middle on a 3-2 count. Nice short stroke by Jose. Back up through the middle. 15th multi-hit game this season.
And that's the most in the National League. He now has 47 hits in a shade over a fifth of a season. So let's see how the Mets play now with Murphy, who's 1 for 3 tonight. McDougal's a tall guy with a lot of moving parts.
Very unorthodox delivery. Takes a long time to deliver the ball to the plate. Navarro, though, very good backstop. Career thrown out about 26-27% of the would-be base stealers.
McDougal's given up 2 stolen bases from the mound this year. 2 out of 3. Reyes has not stolen a base tonight. He's 12 for 14 this season. He has been picked off, though. Navarro picked him off when Reyes just nonchalantly walked back to the bag, and Navarro snapped one behind him. Murphy lays down the bunt, and Uribe comes in to play it, and out at first. Sacrifice for Murphy moves Reyes up. 5-3 on the sack for Murphy.
Well, Murph's been struggling, so maybe not a bad play to get this ball on the ground. Met hitters coming up are red hot. Nice play here by Uribe. Easy play at first base.
So now the lead run in scoring position with 1 out. And here's David Wright, who's at a walk and a hard hit double to left center tonight, 1 for 2. That's now with 8 hits on the night. Carlos Beltran, Jason Bay behind Wright. So the Mets have the right part of the order up to try and unknot this game. And Wright first pitch swinging, grounds it to short, and they've got Reyes on the rundown. Uribe running him back and makes the toss for the tag by Miles. So a base running mistake by Reyes, trying to go second to third on a ball hit in front of him. Just didn't know where Carroll was playing, so the second base running mistake for Reyes tonight cost the Mets a runner in scoring position.
It's very easy. If the ball is to your right, you cannot go to third base. And that's just a play that you think Jose would not make at this point in his career, but maybe overzealousness, trying to steal a run. Anything to your right, you cannot move. Even if it's a base hit on the ground to left field, you'll proceed to third base.
It's almost as though he thought Carroll was playing more up the middle and that ball was going to go to the hole, and it just wasn't.
Easiest part is when you take your lead, you look behind you. Where is he? You find where the shortstop is, makes it a very easy play.
6-5-4 on the fielder's choice. So now Wright is on first with 2 out. With Beltran at the plate, Carlos is flied out, singled and walked. So it's been a push-me-pull-you night for Jose Reyes. 2 hits, but 2 base running errors. First one was just an error of nonchalance. This one was an error of commission. And he knows it. Beltran's had a red-hot bat. And takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Carlos has 12 doubles already this year. That leads the National League. Jason Bay on deck. Of course, Wright has the speed to score from first on a 2-base hit. Beltran watches wide, 2-1.
I know why that play is also bad for Reyes. There's many reasons, but he has such great speed that he could have held his ground. And when Carroll throws the ball to first base, he can proceed to third. There's many different ways to get there.
It's an outstanding point. You know, we talked about it last night. Carroll doesn't have a great shortstop's arm, so he was going to have to load up to make a throw to first. Reyes kind of bailed him out. And Beltran gets under one. And Carroll trails out into shallow left center to call and puts it away to end the inning. So an inning that began promisingly for the Mets ends without a run. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Sony Pictures Priest in 3D. The war is eternal. His mission is just the beginning. In theaters Friday.
a tremendous rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Jerry Stiller.
Yeah, well, it's so nice to be able to plug baseball these days. Baseball's always been my favorite sport. As a kid down on the Lower East Side, I was a third baseman. I talk with a southern accent now because then all those guys that were working down there were from South Brooklyn. You know. Anyway, I have a prediction to make, Kevin. 5 years from now, Jose Reyes will be playing shortstop for the New York Yankees. Derek Jeter will be working in the front office of the Mets. Jerry Stiller will be in the Hebrew Home for the Aged. And Seinfeld will still be on the air. That's a prepared statement. You know.
This all stemming, are you still upset about that Buhner trade?
Yeah. I don't, you know, that episode in which our friend Steinbrenner arrived at the home for the wake, literally, for George. He was missing. He came in, and I was very upset because he had traded Buhner. You know, the other thing I got PO'd about was that he paid Hideki Irabu $12 million. So I have my issues with the New York Yankees.
So you're telling me Irabu didn't work out? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Irabu went back to where Irabu belongs, you know. Nice guy. You know, nothing wrong with him.
Jerry, can I ask you, how did you keep a straight face? How did you record a scene when you did Seinfeld?
Well, I worked with some terrific people like Jason Alexander, Michael Richards. These guys were literally, we were like one. We and I had Estelle Harris. So there was no air between us. You know? We just listened to each other. We didn't prepare our lines. We knew in our heads we were going to listen and come in with the next line. You want a piece of me? You know, hey, I mean, you know, they wrote great things, you know. Festivus for the rest of us, you know, Serenity Now. I mean, all you have to do is say the words.
There are some good outtakes of You Want a Piece of Me. How long and how many laughs for that scene?
Well, Julia Louis, I call her Julia Louis, could not keep a straight face during that scene. So every time I said, "Do you want a piece of me?" she kept breaking up. It went on for 5-10 takes, and they actually kept it on the air, and it became part of the culture now.
What was your favorite episode? Do you have one, or do you have a favorite, you know, scene or moment? I mean, I know it's probably hard.
Well, there are a bunch of nice things that happened. I could talk about the man's ear, you know, the upper body support for men when George thought he was growing breasts, and I started to think I had the same thing. So me and my friend Kramer, Michael Richards, decided to come up with an upper body support called a man's ear, or a bro, because we kind of figure out ethnic problems. You know, if you said bro, people who were African American, you have PO'd, so we called it a man's ear. That was one, and that was the one when Kramer and I decided to cater a Jewish singles night, and I had a flashback about when I poisoned my platoon in Korea, and that was the end of that. That was a wonderful moment in my time. And then, of course, Festivus for the rest of us, when Frank Costanza had this problem with Christmas being over-commercialized, so he decided to create Festivus, which was celebrated with an aluminum pole. And instead of singing Christmas carols, we did. We just came up with feats of strength and just letting out your feelings. I love that one.
That was a great one. A pretty cool moment in the game, Jerry. Here, big spot for the Mets. Base runner on first. Here's Andre Ethier, who's over 3 with a walk and a 30-game hitting streak on the line. 30 games is a long time.
Yeah. Well, my big team is Pawtucket Sox, the Paw Sox. Pawtucket, Rhode Island. That's a team that has always intrigued me. I went there one day with my son Ben. We were coming back from Nantucket. We heard a crowd screaming at a baseball field, and I got out of the car, and we decided to go in. There we were watching the Paw Sox playing the Toledo Mud Hens.
It always starts in minor league.
It's a memorable thing. So tonight, nobody can match the Toledo Mud Hens and the Mud Hens and Paw Sox.
Well, listen, Jerry, I want to thank you.
Disappoint anybody. I'm a baseball fan. I can't come out here for. Oh my God, these guys are good. They're all good. They're all terrific.
And I want to wish you a happy Festivus too.
Thank you, and we're all looking forward to the next time we get together. Right? Thank you, Kevin. You made my night.
Guys, I couldn't say with a straight face. It was impossible. Let's go back to you.
0-2 to Andre Ethier. Tim Burdock with a chance to put a close to Ethier's hitting streak. This is high. Of course, no guarantee in a tie game that Ethier won't get another turn at bat. But he's 0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Walked back in the first inning. Had a big chance in the second. Bases loaded and 2 out. Swung at the first pitch from Dylan G and flied out to left. Since then, he's flied to center and grounded to second. Burdak making his first appearance in 5 days. With the go-ahead run at first, the 1-2 off the plate. It's 2-2 to Ethier.
What's been interesting about Ethier as opposed to some other long hitting streaks by some of the guys is he seemed to have a lot of fun with it so far.
He's not losing his hair.
Yeah.
Burdak would love to coax a double play ball. And Ethier just got a piece to stay in there.
Oh, hitting streaks are made from this. By an inch off the end of the bat. Foul ball stays in the at bat.
Mentioned it earlier, the last 3 players to reach 30 games failed to get a hit the next game. Willie Taveras, Moises Alou, and Ryan Zimmerman the last 3. Two. And Ethier swings and misses at the slider, and he's 0 for 4 tonight. So Tim Burdak fanning Ethier on a breaking ball out of the strike zone for the second out of the inning. And that streak may or may not have just come to a close.
A steady diet of breaking balls from Tim Burdak. Ethier to the bench. Burdak to face Kemp. Just stayed with it. Almost the same pitch that he fouled off, but missed this one by a good foot.
Remember the story we told last night about Willie Davis and his 31-game hitting streak, the Dodger record. He was 0 for 4 in game 31 with the Dodgers up 4-0 in the 8th. But the Mets tied the game with 4 runs in the 8th, so Davis got another at bat and got the game-winning hit in the bottom of the 9th. So you never know what's going to happen here with Ethier. Kemp is 1 for 3 tonight. Has been on base with a hit by pitch, a single and an error, and he drives one deep to left, but Bay has room. And that does it for the Dodgers in the top of the 7th. So a good inning for Tim Burdak, and the Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the 8th with Bay and Davis to get it started. On the web at MBUSA.com. Cubs scored 2 in the bottom of the 9th. Fukudomi drove in the game winner. The Brewers got 8 one-hit innings out of Yvonne Gallardo to shut out the Cardinals. Kyle Kendrick subbing for Roy Oswalt, 5 scoreless innings, and the Phillies win. The Pirates get a big night from McCutchen for a 6-1 victory. The Nationals down the Marlins. The Diamondbacks behind Daniel Hudson leading the Padres, and the Giants with the early lead on the Rockies tonight. Right here, 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th, and Jason Bay to lead off for New York. Bay has gone 0 for 3 tonight.
Sorry, Gary. Mike McDougall going staying on for his next inning.
First time this year that McDougal has gone more than an inning. It'll be Bay, Davis, and Pridey for the Mets. They've got Hong-Chi Kuo up in the bullpen, so this will probably be McDougal's only batter here in the 8th. And they'll bring in the lefty for Davis and Pridey. And Bay takes up and away for ball 1. Mets got the leadoff man on in the 7th against McDougal on Reyes' hit up the middle. Murphy sacrificed him along, but then Reyes was thrown out, trying to advance from 2nd to 3rd on a ball hit in front of him. And that took the starch out of the inning. And McDougal overthrowing 2-0.
Well, you mentioned it before, Gary. You really got to zone McDougal in. He's one of those guys that very unorthodox, throws awfully hard, sometimes can lose the strike zone.
Well, Francisco Rodriguez back-to-back saves the last 2 days and ready for another one if the situation provides itself. Kind of had to tussle his way into the outing last night after throwing 42 pitches the day before. Threw only 12 last night in his save, so ready to go again tonight. Now the 2-1 from McDougal to Bay, and he lays off, and it's outside 3-1. If you're just joining us, the Mets had to scratch their starter tonight, Chris Young. He had trouble getting loose in the bullpen. Dylan G took his spot, turned in 5 1/3 respectable innings before heading off to the bullpen. 3-1 to Bay, and there's a strike. 3-2. So it leaves the Mets a tad shorthanded in the bullpen, with the specter of a possible extra inning game tonight and a day game tomorrow, which makes you think that if there's anything wrong with Young, they're going to have to get another arm here in a hurry. 3-2 to Bay, and it's upstairs, ball 4, and the Mets get the leadoff man on for the 2nd straight inning against McDougal. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Wendy's. Get your favorite taste for less on Wendy's 99-cent everyday value menu at participating Wendy's. Well, Don Mattingly quickly out of the dugout after the leadoff walk to Bay, and as anticipated, they'll bring in the lefty Hong-Chi Kuo to face Ike Davis, with Jason Pridey and Josh Tolle, 2 more lefties behind him. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro USA. Now Metro PCS covers 90% of the country. Mets trying to grab a lead in the 8th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Hong-Chi Kuo, who had a great year for the Dodgers last year, comes on to pitch.
Boy, he did, Gary. 60 innings pitched last year and 56 appearances. 1 home run and 73 punch-outs. Gotten off to a little slow start here this year.
So the Mets presenting a string of lefties here in the 8th. Quo gets the nod. He came in to face Ike Davis last night with a couple of men on in the 7th and struck him out. Again, Davis, Pridey, and Tolle here in the 8th with Bay the lead run at first and nobody out. Mets locked in a 2-2 duel with the Dodgers. Mets have not scored since the 2nd inning. Davis tonight 0 for 2 and a walk. He scored a run after the walk in the 2nd inning. And Quo starts him off with a fastball, and he's late on it, 0-1. Jason Pridey next. He's having a big night, 3 for 3. Kind of an interesting strategic question coming up for Terry Collins. Pridey has been fantastic, but he's gotten virtually no exposure to left-hand pitching, and when he has, he's only 1 for 7. So would you consider batting for him here, even though he's 3 for 3?
Well, we've heard him, Terry Collins, say that the reason you have Hairston is bat against left-handed pitching.
Now, Matt Guerrier, the veteran right-hander, is up in the Dodger bullpen, the former Twin. So they'd probably bring him in if Hairston comes up. And Davis pops one foul off the left side. Uribe over for a look, but that's out play.
I guess it's what matchup you like better. You want Pridey in there against Quo, who, when he's on, is almost unhittable.
Well, the biggest piece of that right now is that if you compare the two hitters, who's hot, who's not.
No, Pridey's locked in.
Yep.
And he's gotten big hits.
Let's see what Quo did last year. He was virtually unhittable. Davis trying to fight his way out of a hole here on 0-2. And another foul ball.
Again, we're seeing Ike Davis with that kind of 2-strike approach, shortening up that swing, trying to make contact.
Ike's numbers against lefties have not been good so far this year. He's hitting just 179, 7 for 39 against lefties. And Quo, who struck him out last night, is ahead of him tonight. Upstairs, 1-2. McDougal went an inning plus, allowed a hit and a walk, and responsible for the man aboard. Each team now with 2 runs and 8 hits. And Ike pops one up. Carroll drifting out. Wynn coming in, but Carroll calls. And that's the first out of the inning. So 1 out and 1 on. Jason Pridey coming up. The video recap is brought to you by Wendy's.
Well, coming off of last night's big home run, gets it started with a double down the line. Nice short stroke for a sharp single to right field. And again, this one jammed a little bit, still able and strong enough to get it to the outfield.
Pridey going down to talk with Chip Hale before settling in against Quo. So Terry Collins has made it quite clear here that he's going to ride the hot hand, even lefty against lefty. He had the choice of Hairston against Guerrier, presumably, or Pridey against Quo, and he'll stay with Pridey, who's 3 for 3 tonight, now hitting 300 for the year. May at first and 1 out. And Pridey, thinking about a bunt, takes a strike.
Well, it's almost a slug bunt. He shortened up and then faked like he was going to hit that ball past Uribe at third base.
Uribe playing right at the edge of the grass against Pridey.
Quo was not going to throw anything inside. He could by accident, but where he's trying to get you out is away. It's one of those times, lefty-lefty, that you're really just trying to hit the ball the opposite way.
Another left-hand hitter on deck, and Josh Tolle. And Pridey does bunt. And Quo taking his time and throws it away. It's backed up by Miles to keep the runners at first and second. That's a huge play by Aaron Miles
who puts a tag on Friday just in case, but Quo just took forever and then made a horrible throw, and Friday's on.
This is why Chip Hale was talking to Friday. It's because they've scouted ahead, and Quo has always had trouble fielding the baseball. Not getting to it, but his problem is throwing the ball to bases. It's always been a problem since he's come up, and they took advantage of that situation. You're right, Gary. Just took forever, and luckily, Miles heads up with the backup.
Now, Miles, it's almost like he knew what was coming, because if he's not there, that ball rattles around down in the corner, and Bay is at least at third base and maybe more. So it'll be an error on Quo. Although I'm not sure that with the time that he took that he was going to throw Friday out. Well, Mattingly comes out because Ronnie Polino has been announced as a pinch hitter for Josh Tolley. So he's going to respond with his right-hander, Matt Guerrier, who will come on here, the third pitcher of the inning for the Dodgers. So Quo faces two batters and exits. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCA USA. Now Metro PCS covers 90% of the country. It's happy hour Pix 11 style, and Charlie Sheen serving up the last. Get a double shot of 2.5 Men weeknights at 7 and 7:30 on Pix 11. The former Minnesota Twin Matt Guerrier takes over the pitching for the Dodgers.
A real workhorse when he was with the Twins, consistently over 70 appearances every season. This is his 15th here with the Dodgers.
Ronnie Polino batting for Josh Tolley. First and second and one out. A walk to Bay, and then a sacrifice by Friday. He reaches on Quo's error. And a breaking ball down from Guerrier for ball one. Although I'm not sure Quo was going to throw Friday out. I might have given him a hit.
Yeah.
Jason's had a big night. 3 for 3, and now the sacrifice. And now Polino looking to get the tie-breaking run home, as he did in the 14th inning on Sunday in Philly.
Guerrier has a sinking fastball, but he loves his slider, especially against the right-handed hitters.
Now, the Dodger bullpen has been the worst in the major leagues so far this year. Their closer, Jonathan Broxton, is now on the DL with an elbow injury. Justin Turner's come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. And the Mets trying to break through against that Dodger bullpen here in the 8th. Two and 0 to Polino. And he takes a strike, and back to first goes Pridey as Navarro looks for his second pickoff of the night.
Well, Navarro's got a great arm, loves to throw the ball around the diamond. A great job by Pridey getting back. Pridey's trying to get a huge lead, because if he can in the ground ball, it could break up a double play. It could be the difference in this game.
Two and one to Ronnie Polino. And he takes it low and away. Ball 3. So Guerrier comes in and immediately falls behind Polino 3-1. A walk would fill the bases with Justin Turner on deck to pinch hit. Reds have used their only left-handed bat off the bench tonight, Willie Harris, who struck out in the 6th. Now Polino in a good hitter's count. And he foul tips one. Fastball by Guerrier, 3-2.
A good fastball, 93 miles an hour. Threw it by Polino. Just a little late.
So now a full count to Polino with 1 out. And it's low, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So the Mets have loaded him up without a hit, 2 walks and an error. And now Justin Turner will get the crack at giving the Mets the lead. It'll take just a fly ball to do it.
Boy, this season, Gary, if I can think of one theme, is when the relievers for either squad have come in, first batter face, walk. Cannot do that.
Well, especially here, because now you push the go-ahead run to third with 1 out. See how the Dodgers play the infield here. Bottom of the 8th, you are really loath to give up the go-ahead run. So how do you position your infielders?
Well, they're playing a double play depth right now in at the corners. Uribe's back a couple of steps.
So a big chance for Turner, who's hitting .235. Made the go-ahead run at third and 1 out. And Turner lays off. It's low and away. Ball 1.
Justin Turner, you want that ball up. And if it's a slider, it's one you want to hit. You do not want to pull it. That's the ball he usually tries to get for a ground ball. Pitch tries to get for a ground ball.
Been 4 days since Turner had an at bat. Flied out as a pinch hitter in the 10-inning game against the Giants on Tuesday night. So cold for that long. Now asked to get that lead run home. Kind of like Chinlun Who's at bat in Washington on the last road trip.
Well, hitting to the right side would serve him well here.
And Turner launches one out to center field. Back goes Kemp, going back. He reaches up, can't make the catch. In to score comes Bay. Friday comes in. Around third and heading home. And 2-run score. Polino has to stop at second. It is a very long single for Justin Turner, and it gives the Mets a 4-2 lead.
Well, you talked about it, Gary, on the bench that long, able to come in and have that short stroke, takes advantage of that fastball in the middle of the plate. Kemp, who was playing deep, could not run this one down. Just off the end of his glove. And by the time he retrieves a 2-rep score, Polino went back to first base to tag of all things, and that's why he's only on second base. Well, he's going to tag up at third, right? Jason Bay doing it right, tagging up at second right. Polino should not be tagging up. He should have been standing on second base.
Now Reyes takes ball 1. So 2 walks and an error, filling the bases, and Justin Turner coming through with the big pinch hit to drive home a pair and give the Mets a 4-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th. Still only 1 out of the inning. Reyes is 2 for 4 tonight. He lines one to short. Carroll's got it. The throw to second in time for the double play. Polino couldn't get back, and he's doubled off to end the inning. But the Mets score a pair and grab the lead heading to the 9th. And now they'll hand it off to K-Ron, who looks for his 3rd save in 3 days. Mets lead 4-2. save in 3 days.
See his numbers, a yeoman effort on that first save you're talking about with those 42 pitches.
Go to bed with a smile on your face. Join Jerry and the gang for an hour of Seinfeld. Weeknights at 11 and 11:30 on Pix 11. Tony Gwynn Jr. will bat for the first time. Came on for defense in a tie game. Interesting move by Don Mattingly. Took Jay Gibbons out. So Gwynn bats to lead off in the ninth and takes a strike with K-Rod. Last night was a little easier for K-Rod, although he gave up a leadoff hit to Gibbons. Retired the next 3 on fly balls and threw just 12 pitches to get through the inning. And Gwynn slaps one to shortstop. Reyes comes in to grab it and guns him down by a stride. 1 away.
I do have to say, though, K-Rod has been harder on himself than anyone else could be, saying that he's not at the top of his game, but seeking that elusive 1-2-3 inning.
Well, he said, the more I pitch, the sharper I'll be, and yesterday was certainly an example of that. Yeah, you're right. He has not had a 1-2-3 inning yet this year. Well, here's Juan Uribe, who's in a miserable series so far. He's 0 for 4 today with 3 strikeouts, 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts in the 2 games. And K-Rod gets ahead with a fastball. Well, you see what he's done with the bases empty. They crush him. But once the men get on base, the tougher the situation, the better he's gotten. Had the 1 blown save in Florida to begin the season. 8 straight saves since then.
Well, if you're going to have those numbers, you want them that way, Gary.
Yeah,
not upside down.
Of course, if you don't get much on base when the bases are empty, you don't have a lot of situations with runners in scoring position. Justin Turner with the big hit for the Mets tonight. A 2-run bases loaded 400-foot single. And breaking ball bounced foul. 1-2. Well, unless the Dodgers find a way to get 8 men to the plate in this inning or tie it up and send it to extra inning, Andre Ethier's 30-game hitting streak is going to come to an end. 0 for 4 and a walk tonight. One and 2 to Uribe. And he hits one foul. K-Rod staying with the game plan for the most part against Uribe tonight. Fastball, fastball, fastball. 3 times in a row Uribe struck out on the high heat. Twice against G and most recently against Igarashi. Tim Burdock stands to be the winner for the Mets tonight. It would be his first Met win. Through a scoreless 8th. Just missed. 2-2 to Uribe with Dioner Navarro on deck. And he struck him out. The golden sombrero for Juan Uribe. 4th time he's been fanned tonight.
Well, you can say that Keith's not here, so perfect.
So 2 out and nobody on. Dioner Navarro coming up, and while at the moment want to squeeze in the fact that coming up next on SNY, it's Lincoln Post Game Live, and on Pix 11 it's the Pix 11 News. Also the fact that it's my mom's birthday today. She's like a Christmas birthday kid.
Oh, I got
her
it.
birthday's right around Mother's Day. So, Mom, happy birthday. And I'll call you tomorrow for Mother's Day. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Dioner Navarro. He's 1 for 2. A home run back in the 4th. And a swing and a foul ball. 0-1. Knocked the mask right off Ronnie Tolino, who's catching the 9th inning after pinch hitting.
Shot to the grill there by Navarro. To your mom, it'll be before 1 and after 4, by the way.
Molino will start tomorrow with Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers, and he'll be catching R.A. Dickey tomorrow for the first time. He's been catching him in a couple of side sessions, so that should be an interesting adventure to watch.
And also before the game, he'll be catching him tomorrow, so really we'll get a feel for R.A. Dickey's knuckleball tomorrow.
0-1 to Navarro. And the breaking ball misses. 1-1. Jamie Carroll would be next. Dodgers are down to their final out.
And now down to their final strike. Check swing. Did he go? They check at third. He went around and the ball game is over. K-Rod has his first 1-2-3 inning of the season, and the Mets have their third straight victory as they overcome Chris Young's absence. Dylan G gives them a nice start. The bullpen does the rest, and Justin Turner with the big hit as the Mets win it in their final turn at bat. 4-2.
Well, the team that has struggled in the pinch hitting department, now Justin Turner 2 for 4 and a game winner tonight. 3 days in a row, 3 saves for K-Rod, and Jason Friday again with another big game with 3 hits.
So the irregulars taking care of business for the Mets. Jason Friday with 3 hits and the big bunt in the 8th inning that set the stage for Turner's heroics. And K-Rod with his 3rd save in 3 days. This one a perfect inning. The game summary brought to you by Lincoln and the 2011 Lincoln MKX. Tim Burdock with a scoreless 8th gets credit for his first win as a Met. Mike McDougall suffers the loss. And Justin Turner with the big hit as Andre Ethier's 30-game hitting streak comes to an end on an 0-4-4 night. Mets celebrate their 3rd straight victory and a series win. We'll be back to Citi Field in just a moment.